Israelites, King Manuel VII. Down, yeah, God, Jah, Rastafari. And I greet you in the name of peace and love. Yes, family, it is I, Rasavana Shanti. This is Roots and Culture on TurnItUp.com, Turn It Up Radio. Yeah, give thanks to be here another Thursday evening from 6 until 10 to take you on that journey. And over back in time. Yeah, back to our roots and culture with word, song, and power. We're giving thanks. We have a loaded evening today. Yeah, a very privileged evening. Yeah, many things coming up. But the greatest of all is an interview with Baba Dr. James Small. Yeah, one of our greats. Yeah, that oral historian. Yeah, he travels and edifies and uplifts the African community with knowledge of oneself. So this evening, we will be dipping into that well of knowledge. Yeah, and looking at the Pan-African struggle, the victory the failures and what's ahead. Yeah, Rastafari. Brought to us by Empress Trisha. Also, social commentary with Empress Dion. Yeah, and you have the youth connection coming up also tonight. It's a loaded program. Yeah, so enjoy. Get your favorite pastime, whatever you drink, eat, snack on, or whatever you use to uplift your consciousness. Yeah, get everything prepared to have an enjoyable moment with the African family. Rastafari. And I, and I, and I. With all that is going on, the man said the greatest gift that was given to I and I is the gift of life. See? And the man said, I and I, if you cherish life, see, and minister to it in such an upright way that I and I will maintain it. No? Yeah. For as long as I and I can, Meaning establish your longevity. Where will you spend your long eternity? Is it in mental bondage or is it in a liberated mind, a free mind, an open mind, a conscious mind? Yeah, check it out. See, as I and I rise, I and I consciousness with music. As usual, the item don't know. The message is in the music. Check it.
This is a message to the poor man and the rich. Hard work's just reward, good rule established. Come and tell me, this is your life. If you want to follow you to take on your list to give me human rights and justice, I got it. I could not. I got it. I want you to make you work for it. Everything is life. Give me human rights and justice. I got it. I do not have my own result. I was it. I can make you before I work with it. Rebels in the street, fighting for it. Mr. Rumpy shot Martha Alexander. He robbed that party, you got us for how did he do it with the pen and paper? One into the world, but him say me as what I could give me. Human rights and justice. I don't. I could not ever do without it. He was it. How what did you need to finish it before? Represent the streets, fighting for peace. Give me human rights and justice. I don't. Could not ever do without it. We must do it. I watch it. We work for it. Rebels in the streets, fighting for it. There is a place where them call it church. and that things with them search for diamond. Them tell us how much they have the answers to the problems, but things keep getting worse. So give me one right and just I. My children need to benefit like I'm a rebel in the street, I'm a fighting for it. The alarm after let on be desperate. Cannot food better with third person. Hungry man starting sitting in the rain. Got to be careful when the fire is a blaze on the stage. One right man shot it, I want. I could have never do without it, I'm on it. My children need to benefit like food. I am a rebel in the streets, I'm on fighting, so it's so give me no more right and just I want. I could have never do without it, I will. Our children need to benefit, we work for it. They got rebels in the streets and we are fighting for it. Tell them straight, I do not appreciate. We see too much work happening every day. Now, for love. Little rise of flow before it's too late, and the way you might right and trust me. I don't think. Yes,
Greetings, family. You're on Turn It Up Radio, turnitup.com, Roots and Culture, with your host, Rasavana Shanti.
Yes, I will mind.
Yes, family, you're on Turn It Up Radio on turnitup.com with your host, Rasavana Shanti, and the Royal Cast coming in slowly, but coming in. We do welcome you tonight.
Poverty,
If
the
that's
burden of, colonialism. What the man say, to emancipate your mind, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Because while others can free you from the temporal chains, only you can free your mind. Not true. So make I and I edify I and I self, with knowledge. Seeing empower I and I self with information. Seeing and uplift I and I self with self-confidence. Not true. Yeah, man. Check it. Yeah, coming up. Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's right now. I will introduce the royal cast to inspire and yeah, man, give I and I some inspiration. Yeah, inspiration with Empress Trisha, the royal tech of the Council of Elders.
yes,
Greetings, Empress Trisha.
greetings, my Lord, Honorable Priest Rasavana, and the Royal Cast for now, Honorable Empress Akim, peace and love. Yes. Tonight's inspiration will be done by myself, the daily meditations, as well as Empress Akim will do the other part. Ayandla, and the inspiration today comes from the Acts of Faith by Ayandla Van Zandt. If we never faced adversity, our well-being would not be as sweet. Terry Kellogg. If there is a persistent problem plaguing you, does it seem to just loom over your head, waiting to swoop you down and devour you? Is it money problem, a relationship, a choice or decision you can't seem to make? Do you feel as if you have been backed into a corner with no way out? Good. That is exactly where you need to be. Now take your mind off the problem and laugh. That's right, laugh. Stare adversity in its face. Stop trying to figure out what to do. You are probably thinking this is your punishment for something you did in the past. Or maybe you think it's some more of your bad luck. Well, just throw those thoughts over your brain and replace them with, I know there is a power for good in the universe, and I call that power forth right now to perfect every condition in my life. But of course, this sounds too easy, too good to be true. You want it to be hard, right? Well, here's something hard for you to work on. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Ashe. Just for today, I will laugh in the face of adversity. Reflection. If a major problem is weighing you down, stop and change your mental channel to something guaranteed to make you laugh. Peace, love, joy, and happiness by our sister, Ayandla Van Sant. Honorable Empress Akim, the floor is now yours.
Greetings, royal family. Post-slavery, one of the traumatic disorders having residual effects on people of African descent, is termed the Jesus syndrome, where people sit waiting on signs and wonders, afraid to move beyond the last mystical era of religious leadership, often misinterpreting the message given by their religion. That closed mindset has proven to be limiting and leads to obsoleteness. There is no reason to be bound by an act or approach one leader did or didn't do according to their circumstances. In a different era where time, attitudes, and procedures have changed, the current leadership has the responsibility to do what is best in the moment, as determined by the collective understanding. Blind obedience and willful ignorance are distinct yet related concepts. Blind obedience involves unquestioning acceptance of authority, while willful ignorance is the act of avoidance of knowledge, often to maintain a desired state of belief or avoid unpleasant truths. Both can have negative consequences, but they stem from different motivations and have different implications. Blind obedience is the uncritical acceptance of orders or instructions from an authority figure without pausing to consider the morality or consequences of those actions. This can range from following a seemingly harmless request from a parent to participating in harmful actions due to orders from a superior in a military or organizational context. Blind obedience can lead to individuals participating in unethical or harmful activities, even if they have personal reservations. It can stifle, critical thinking and moral reasoning. It's important to differentiate blind obedience from thoughtful obedience, which involves considering the instructions and acting in accordance with one's own moral compass. Willful ignorance, also known as willful blindness, is the deliberate avoidance of information or knowledge, even when it is readily available. This can include ignoring evidence of a friend's harmful behavior, refusing to acknowledge the severity of climate change, or avoiding information about the consequences of one's consumption habits. Willful ignorance can lead to missed opportunities, flawed decision-making, and a lack of moral responsibility. It can also perpetuate harmful situations and prevent necessary change. Distinction from ignorance. Ignorance is simply a lack of knowledge, while willful ignorance is a conscious choice to remain uninformed. Relationship between the two. Both blind obedience and willful ignorance can stem from a desire for comfort, safety, or conformity. In some situations, blind obedience can lead to willful ignorance, as individuals may passively accept information that supports their chosen course of action. Both can have negative moral implications as they can result in individuals participating in or overlooking harmful actions. In conclusion, while blind obedience and willful ignorance may seem distinct, they are often interconnected and can have significant consequences in both personal and societal contexts. Understanding the nature of these concepts is crucial for fostering critical thinking, ethical decision making, and responsible actions. We give thanks for the knowledge that is imparted among us. May we continue to elevate and be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Rastafari.
Rastafari.
Yes, I. Yeah, man, that was the commentary read by Empress Akim and the inspiration meditation by Empress Trisha. Good vibration. You know, as the sister was identifying, willful ignorance, seeing, denying oneself your own strengths, by refusing to acknowledge truths, acknowledge a different understanding than what you held. Now that you have greater knowledge or greater access to information that dispels and disproves, must be willing to let go of things that are not factual, that may have worked when it worked, but no longer works.
All right. All right.
Let go of what we come to find, not of our culture, doesn't stem from our way of life, but is an amalgamation of someone else's way of life. Yeah. And I need to be brave enough, courageous enough to let go, seeing what no longer serves us, whether it was forced upon us, whether it was something that we voluntarily adopted, embraced, held close. Yeah. But as time goes on, knowledge increases. And with that increasing knowledge, I and I must also increase our consciousness, because it's our consciousness that guides our positive action, seeing our positive decision-making process. Seeing, so we give thanks for those words of upliftment, words of
Rastafari.
consciousness,
Honorable
as
Priest.
we step out of one realm into
Honorable
another realm.
Priest.
It is now 6:27 in the studios of Turn It Up Radio.
Yes, Honorable Priest.
Giving thanks and
Can
praise.
you hear us?
Yes, I. Moving right along, family. See, yeah, we will soften the pace with some, old school consciousness. Yeah, man. Everybody knows Mr. Isaacs. Seeing the cool ruler. Check him.
Yes, family, just a reminder that you are listening to Roots and Culture on Turn It Up Radio, turnitup.com. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
Every time I get the music in high, in spite of the pasture, the shepherd of my pasture. Don't tell me that no. Fire, fire, my pasture. Don't tell me that no. Pasture. I'm accustomed to it. Oh, oh no. I'm accustomed to you. Yes, cool ruler, slave master. Man say every time he look around, yeah man, the slave master come around. Yeah, yeah man. Jam him with the whip. The stripes are on our backs to prove it. Yeah, that we were under the shackle, under the chains, under the oppression of the European. I and I are survivors. Yeah, we're not victims, see, and we're not slaves. Yeah, I and I foreparents were never slaves. They were free human beings that were put in bondage by some reptilian people, some cold-blooded people. See, but we have survived, family. We are the survivors. See, we are not victims. See, so we need to label the victim vibes. See, and I'll just crying when I and I have the power in I and I to rise up and do what is necessary. See, instead of sitting and crying, just rise up and take charge of our lives. See the Africans them rising up. Yeah, so the African round of West, round in the diaspora. And I need to organize and myself to join with our brothers on the continent. Seeing? Yeah, because together we are stronger. Seeing? Yeah, man, the story of the sticks. If you have one stick, yeah, you can break it easy. But when you put 10 together, it's much harder to break. So together we rise, together we stand, together we conquer. See, the man said, we came, we saw, we conquered. Yeah, man, we conquered the evil because the promise is given to those who stand up. The man said, good must overcome evil. Yeah, the gunboat diplomacy, saying the might can never overcome the right. it can look that way for a moment, even for a long moment. But yeah, it can be long, but it can't be forever, the man say, you know. Which man? The internal man or the internal woman. Depends on, yeah, who you are. But that internal voice continuously reminds I and I that, yeah, from I and I stand with the man or stand with the woman, they will stand with I and I. The father and mother of creation will never reject their children. I and I. Yeah. Rastafari. Yes,
Rastafari.
family, like I said, coming up shortly,
Yes.
we have a great grill coming in the virtual space. Yeah, it's a privilege and an honor, yeah, to be hosting, yeah, the Royal Ambassador of Goodwill, the elder statesman, yeah, Baba, Dr. James Small. Yeah, so stick and stay coming up at 8 or right thereafter. Yeah, the doctor will be in. Yeah, to edify us, take us through some journeys that only he can because he was there. He didn't hear about the Black Power movement. See, he didn't read about the Black Power movement. He was part of that movement. So, yes, he will be right here to edify us. So, get ready. Don't go anywhere. Like I said, get your favorite pastime ready for that moment, whether you want to pop some corn or roll some corn. You don't know it, go. Yeah. Pour out some roots. Yeah, man, or even some fruit juice. But just get your thing ready because, yeah, you'll be taken on a journey. Rastafari.
Rastafari. My Lord. Can you
And the
hear?
royal
Can you hear
cast
the
is in the
cast?
house. We have flowers in the house, the black roses. Yeah, the black roses are here with us tonight. Yeah, to brighten up the decor and to give it that aroma, that, yeah, fresh, beautiful aroma that the Empress them always come with. See? So stick and stay, don't go anywhere. Yeah. The message is always in the music, family. Remember that. Rastafari.
Priest, can you
Salon
hear?
Jury.
Can you hear us?
This is for our icon bird. Let us bring them in. Royal Queens.
Blessed love.
Blessed love, priest.
The love, my Lord, and Empress. Honorable Empress Diane had her poem to
I
read.
am surrounded by black roses, family. So pardon me if you hear me fumbling and falling over myself. See? Yeah. Yes, Empress. Yeah, them go ahead. Rastafari.
Go
I
ahead,
have a
Empress.
poem. I have a poem written by the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey from the Negro World in 1929. Right? It's called The Dividing Line. There's a dividing line. Call it what you may. It separates the white from the blacks each day. Nature made no passing shadow e blunder. Why by race different people set asunder? You may try to patch a broken fence between, but oneness of aim shall over ever be seen. For peace and happiness, it is the best to group them nationally from one from the rest. Angels are separated by groups and flies, not because of superiority in lives, but to maintain heavenly rule and order as desired by the great Holy Father. So, in this physical, material life, we are thus separated to prevent strife, not because we are better than the other, but because for the sake of the other, not to bother. Everyone should obey the grand human rule, and not others to reduce to our footstool. Justice should be for everyone we meet, as with charity and fellowship we greet. This would make a better and happier world with the banner of peace and love unfurled. No fear mortal man can think this unkind if he appreciates the bond of mankind. Blessed love. So let's keep that peace, let's share the love, and and speak it. You know, when we speak it, we receive it, and when we receive it, we give it freely and fluently, you know. So let's break down those dividing lines and just speak in peace and speak in love one to another. Heart of love, royal family. Blessed
Yes,
love.
Empress
Blessed
Dion.
love, Empress Dion.
Blessed love.
Beautiful,
You heard it here,
powerful.
family. Yeah, you heard it here on Roots and Culture on Turn It Up Radio, turnitup.com. Yeah, the Black Roses, the Women's Freedom Liberation League sisters are in the house, definitely. See, I am totally inspired. Like the youth them would say, I am hyped, family. Yeah, I'm having an hype. See? Yes, Rastafari. So we know, so we are going to have a nice ride tonight. See? Yes, I. Check it out. Like we say, you know, the message is always in the music.
Rastafari.
That's fine.
He's a great teacher. I mean, yeah, no matter how, you know, we're born this particular.
Make it truly good job with this time on out there, right?
We're not hearing. Yes, family, yes. Until the signal comes back, we know we're dealing with technology and how it is. But you are listening to Turn It Up Radio on turnitup.com with Honorable Priest Savannah Shanti on Roots and Culture and your royal cast, Honorable Empress Dion, Empress Hakim, and myself, Empress Trisha.
Sorry. She made me right. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep the faith, my brother and sister. It's the first that you be. And fear no say it shall not. Whatsoever, ever man so it, they all will reap the fruits of their labor. Yes, they will. In the end. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So seek ye good and evil. Oh, I beg you, my brethren. Cheer up, cheer up, cheer up. Cheer up, cheer up. Yeah. All the work has now be with. Ease my pride. Let's around you fall down on yourself. Be too dreadful, even you. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I. That is graduation to Zion with the great Kilios I, Rastafari. Yes, it is now 6:44 in the studios. In another 16 minutes, we should have the great historian, uh, Dr. James Small, in the virtual space with I and I. Seeing so, yeah. Call a friend, tell a friend, text a friend. Yeah, man. Tell them, yeah, Roots and Culture is on turnitup.com. Tune in. Yeah, I am your host, Rasavana Shanti. I'm here with the Royal Cast, Empress Dion, Empress Kim and Empress Trisha. Yeah, as we are on the journey, on the Sankofa. A people without the knowledge of their history is like a tree without roots. And anything without any tree, any living plant without roots, we know withers and dies. Not true? Yeah. So I and I need to know I and I history. So I and I can be rooted. I and I can be grounded. Yeah, in I and I consciousness. See? So I and I can make conscious decisions and guide the youths that are coming with the zeal, energy, the strength, ready to move mountains. See, but they need guidance. See, yeah. So I and I need to rise that consciousness to the highest vibration level. See, so we can do justice to our I story. See, the man said, let thy works, be good, let them shine, that ones may see it and glorify our Father. Yeah, don't glorify I and I. We are just the vessels, you know. Yeah, man, we are just the servants of the man. But the man who taught I and I in this way, he is the one that is worthy of all praises, the Most High. Jah Rastafari. See? Yeah, man. So let's go and give praises, because praises is due, especially to those who are standing up, those freedom fighters. See? Yeah. The liberators of I and I continent and of I and I life. See? Those who have gone before. All respect and honor to them. See? Yeah. Check it.
Freedom fighters, moving on the African border, finally won. Freedom fighters, moving on the African border, and won. All my brothers in America, and all my sisters in Canada, so in England, unite to free up the mothers and the freedom fighters, moving on the African.
Hitch the one there up, selector. Hitch the one there up and come again. Yeah, man. The man say anything nice, you got to play it twice. That's how it got people. Yeah, man. Anything nice, you got to do it twice. See, and the man's a freedom fighter. Yeah, rising from what? The African border. See, half by. Check him out.
Freedom fighters, moving on the African border, finally won. Freedom fighters, moving on the African border, and won. All my brothers in America, and all my sisters in Canada, also in England. We are the mothers and the freedom fighters. Moving on the African border, finally won. Freedom fighters, moving on the African border, and all your sophisticated weapons, you never side. In the sky, worthwhile, we gonna tear down you all of thunder. Freedom fighter, moving on the African border, finally won. Freedom fighters, moving on the African border. The motherland of freedom fighters, moving on the African border, Freedom fighters, moving on the African border. You are one. Are you sophisticated weapons? And you never silent. We gotta gather you all asunder. Freedom fighters, moving on the African border. Freedom fighters. We gotta channel you all us under budget. Moving on the African border. Freedom budget. Moving on the African border. You're all right. Come on, brother, to the American. Freedom fighter, moving on the African border. Moving on the African border. We're running. Freedom fighters, moving on the African border. Freedom fighters, moving on the African border.
Yeah, the man said, fear not, you know. Yeah, not even them guns and them weapons, you know. Yeah, the man said, fear him, the Almighty, for what he can do. Yeah, them just fast away. See, them have them finger upon the button. What button? Are they gonna destroy themselves as well? Yeah. It's all pastoring family to get I and I to yield to them folly. Seeing them new world order, seeing them Sodom and Gomorrah. See it. Yeah, but the African is wise. You know, we see through them facade. And we just go and hold corner and give Jah the glory. See? Yes, I want to share a little quick video here, a quick video narrative, sorry, here. You know, hope they are them get the same message that I man get out of it. See? Check it out.
Surreal video from rural India. A large bonfire lit for a traditional event. And then a man who herds goats begins to walk his flock around the fire. Once, twice, thrice. And then he steps away. But the goats keep going. Round and round they go. No leader. No destination. Just movement. And suddenly, it's not just a circle. It's a cycle. A vicious, self-perpetuating loop. It reminded me of what we often see around us. In religion, in politics, in society. So many follow without question, without clarity, without understanding the true intent of the one they're following. Not because they believe, but because they're conditioned. Because stepping out of the circle takes courage. The fire in the middle may be real or imagined, but the fear, the motion, the blind, it's all too real. Ask yourself, are you thinking or are you following? Are you chasing purpose or are you circling the flame? If this made you pause, subscribe, share it to someone who needs to hear.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't get the gist of it, you know. Yeah, when them program I and I, they don't need the chains again. Because we are programmed, we are mentally trapped. See, so we were taught to enter. The house through the back door. When it is I and I house. And I and I still entering through her. See, because them program I and I. What is the same thing happening universally? We are fighting amongst one another. We are confronting with one another. Why? because we have been programmed to do that. See, even when it's against our interest, you understand? Yeah, it has become a norm, intrinsic part of our function. And we must see, yeah, confrontation with each other doesn't help fighting. The kingdom goes to waste, as one songwriter put it. Saying, yeah, while we are fighting, the enemies run away with the spoils of war. So we have to be wise in how I and I view life and how we function in this life. And don't be led, with a bit and a bridle, like the horse. Saying, what you can do like the horse? Put on blinders against Babylon. Yeah, don't look left or right when it comes to Babylon. Just stay focused on the prize. What is the prize? Truth and rights, equal rights and justice, betterment for all living creatures. Yeah, we have done such a disservice. Humankind has done such a disservice to the living organisms of the planet that, yeah, if we don't correct our ways, yeah, man, many things to come. But we're not here to preach. We're just here to learn and to teach as we wait upon our guests to arrive in the virtual space. See? Musically, we will take the journey. I say anything I say, it has been said already. Yeah, nothing is new under the sun. Seeing, we are just cultural continuity right here. Seeing, continuing the struggle of our ancestors, continuing the journey of life, seeing, continuing to unfold the mysteries of the great multiverse in which we live. Seeing, yeah. So stick and stay, don't go away. We are gonna be right forward as I and I rise and I minds with wise words of upliftment. Seeing, yeah. Check it. It's always in the music.
Truth is always there.
Yeah, false start. Come again. I'm saying anything nice, you have to play it twice, so it was sometime. Yeah.
Can't hear you must be. Truth is always there. Will be your friend. You never listen to us. You done wrong. And now you're on the road.
Yes, greetings, family. Of course, there's always technical difficulties, and we are having one of those moments right now, but just bear with us. Welcome. You are listening to Turn It Up Radio on turnitup.com with Rootz and Kulcha. Our host, Rasavana Ashanti, Royal Cast, Honorable Empress Diane, Blessed Love, Honorable Empress Akim, Blessed Love, Honorable Empress, and my Lord, Honorable Prophet Okito. Welcome again, Blessed Love. While we wait for the priest to come forward, we are live streaming on the EABIC Council of Elders platform. So we can go ahead and just, Honorable Prophet.
Blessed Lord.
Blessed of my Lord. We're getting our feedback. Yes, blessed love.
Yes, you hear me better now?
Loud and clear, my Lord. Loud and clear. To give thanks for the
Give
eye
thanks.
coming in.
Thank you, thank you. You know, it's been a good day so far, very hectic, but we're thankful.
Yes, I give thanks. We have all been here with the Honorable Priest as he is moving forward in the program. And we are waiting for our special guest to come forward, Honorable Baba Smalls. I
Yes,
believe.
he's coming in. I just spoke to him. He says he'll be in about 2-3 minutes.
Yes, so remember, tell a friend to tell a friend that you are listening to Turn It Up Radio on turnitup.com, Roots and Culture, with your host, Honorable Priest Rasavana Ashanti, and the royal cast, Honorable Empress Hakim, Honorable Empress Diane, and the little ones in the background. We are family friendly. Honorable Prophet Okito and myself, Honorable Empress Trisha. Blessed love.
Blessed love, royal family.
Yes.
The
Yes, the royal youths, yes. Like the Empress say, we are a family-friendly, program.
Yes.
The youth are here listening. Everything is, family-friendly, clean, upright. And we have to have the youths in our midst, especially when we have such a great coming online, because we want them to get the information. So when their time comes, they can make great decisions, and take it to the next level. Yeah, man, that's the whole purpose of doing what we do, edifying the youths, so the youths can know the way. Because the man say, you call upon the elders, because the elders know the way. Call upon the youth because they're strong. You combine them and you have an unstoppable force. See? Yeah, man. So we give thanks for the youth presence among I and I, Prophet Okito, yeah, and others as they come on, because we are a large family. So from time to time, you're going to be introduced to different members of the family. Seeing, because we are also a united family. Seeing, yes, Rastafari. And as we say, we hope that our guests gets in as soon as possible. He was trying to get on the Zoom site so he can link in. While we wait on him, we will continue the journey. See, many things happening globally, as I and I know. This week, there was a great flood in the US.
In
Yeah,
Texas.
devastating Texas. Seeing where even a camp with children was washed away. Several children lost their lives. Seeing, we send out condolences to all families who lost someone. Our prayers are with, the grieving families, because it don't matter what ethnicity, what color, race, creed you are. Yeah, when natural disasters hit, as humans, we have to empathize with those that suffered any form of loss. Because today for them, tomorrow could be for I and I. See? So we must always share in the empathy, in the pain of others. See? Because that is why we are here, to learn how to coexist. See? To live in unity. And unity brings solidarity. Solidarity brings harmony. Harmony brings longevity. And that is what all of I and I seek, right? Longevity.
True.
Yes,
Yes, and as mothers, our hearts go out to all mothers, all aunts, uncles, parents, to anyone who, again, like the priest said, who was affected by this treacherous, damaging rainfall storm that took so many young lives. Our heart goes out to you, and we pray that you someday overcome, even though it's going to be difficult to overcome this tragedy.
Yeah, well, as we see, there are different weather patterns taking place globally.
True.
Certain place right now having some intense heat. Seeing certain places haven't seen rainfall for a moment, while certain other places have seen excess in rainfall. Yeah. The chicken's coming home to roost. We are receiving the consequence of our actions, Yeah, we have developed modernization in an unsustainable, damaging way towards the ecology. See, it's not an eco-friendly way because the synthetics, the cosmetics, the pesticides, insecticides, the chemicals, all of those things that we have adopted as our modern practices in agriculture and in daily maintenance, seeing of our spaces are harming life, living organisms. Seeing we are encroaching on the animals, them habitat, destroying their habitats. We're doing everything destructive right now as man. So we are reaping that consequence. Yes, I.
Greetings, and our guest is here. Greetings, 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 Baba James Small. Greetings, and welcome to Roots and Culture and Turn It Up Radio.
Oh, well, thank you, and greetings to you for having me here. I know we're going to have time because I hear my younger brother teaching already about the war against God. When you war against nature, you war against God. And so that's what has been going on.
That's true. Yes, family, you have heard the voice. Baba is here in the space with us. So let's dip into that well of knowledge and be empowered. Seeing? Welcome, Baba. Welcome again.
Thank you so much, Baba.
With us here, Baba, in the virtual space, we have the royal cast. We have the youth, Prophet Okito. Like they say, elder mustn't walk without a youth because we have to pass on the experience and the knowledge. Yes. We have the royal sisters, Empress Trisha, Empress Dion, Empress Akim. They are my royal cast that we work together in bringing what we do,
Greetings,
Baba. It is a pleasure to be in your presence.
Yes, I. Yeah, man. So let's just jump right into it. Baba, as a man that have been there, what era did you rise up in? Who were the heroes of that time? When you started this journey of consciousness?
Yes, my first heroes was my mama, daddy, grandmother, Susan Small, grandfather, Andrew Small, great-grandfather, Joe Alston, Hope Alston, Peter Small, great-great-grandfather, Martha Small. I grew up around grandparents and great-parents as well. And so that was the first world of heroes, these people who were fighting for their family and the Black community. I grew up in South Carolina along the coast, right on the ocean between Charleston and Myrtle Beach, on a farm in the woods, on an old plantation, in an African village. I didn't know there was different Africans until I went to Africa, and I go like, oh, we the same Africans. So then when you get to go home, and I've been to Jamaica, and Jamaica just like South Carolina to me,
True.
Same rural community. I've been in the mountains, I've been along the shores, and what you see is how African people live. And when they attack our environment, they attack our culture, because that is our culture. So I remember, when I'm coming up, Dr. King is one of our main leaders in the South, Dr. Martin Luther King. And then Sister Fannie Lou Hamer and Rosa Parks. And at age 16 and 63, I would meet Malcolm X up in New York, and so I grew up with Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael. We were comrades and friends. Rap Brown, we were comrades and friends. Dr. Tony Martin from Trinidad, we were comrades and friends. Dr. Edward Scobie from Dominica, we were comrades and friends. These are people who I fought beside, learned from. And so that's the time I grew up in: the Black Panther Party, the Black Liberation Army, the Nation of Islam, Black nationalism in bloom. Carlos Cook, who had taken over after the Honorable Messiah Marcus Garvey died, and he created the African National Pioneer Movement. So that environment I lived in and grew in, I was a part of. In a few months, I'll be 80 years old. So that kind of sets you back where I was back then.
True. So Baba, tell me.
The thing to remember, it was just Black people fighting. And now we knew all those names because the big media pushed them. But there were Black people fighting that same fight all over the world at the same time, whose names most we will never know. That's why I start with my parents, because they were part
many unsung heroes. Yes, many unsung heroes of our battles. And that's one of the things we're trying to do as well, to highlight some of those unsung heroes that, we are standing on their shoulders today and moving ahead with what they started. And as we say that, how different is it? Well, let me ask this question first. You said you've been to Jamaica. I know you've been to Africa many, many times.
Yeah.
What similarities do you see between the way you grew up in Carolinas, in the South, and Jamaica, Africa? What similarities do you see?
Family structure, family relationship, the role of parents, grandparents, the role of children in the family, our attitude towards the environment, nature, the ecology. Those were the main things, and our not willing to give up our identity. I've been to Jamaica multiple times. I've been to multiple Caribbean islands, from Grenada to Trinidad to Haiti. And the one thing I see wherever I go, there's always that element that say, we never give up. We're not giving in, and we're not giving up. And we're at war, and the fight goes on. I've met that element everywhere, on the continent, in the Caribbean, here in the United States. And the one thing about that element that they have in common is that they still have the African family structure, the rules of that family structure as the dominant thread.
Yes.
Grandpa, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, and the feeling of obligation to one another.
Yes. So yeah, like we always say, our ancestors, before they even landed here, when they took them from the interior, marched them to the coast, from the first day that they were shackled, they've been fighting to be free. The misnomer that is told to us is that we were here fighting for equal rights with these people that we find ourselves with. But that's, to I and I, that's a misnomer, because what we were fighting for was to be returned home, for freedom, to be returned to our homeland, our continent, our familiarity, the place where our original navel string was cut. Not to be equal with people that we find, reproachable, and
they're not our equal. The barbarians are below us. They're not the human beings that we are. And we got to be clear about that. A murderer is not my equal. The rapist of my mama is not my equal. The murder of my father is not my equal. The destroyer of my environment is not my equal. That is something under my feet. Except they have used tyranny to dominate my environment. And so we must remove them from our environments.
Yes. And when we look at what Marcus Garvey started with the UNIA, what he taught us back then, when, it was a darker time, we were coming out of, what they call the Reconstruction era, the Jim Crow and the lynching era, coming into that 20th century, time. Garvey did something miraculous, raising the consciousness of a people, and having the UNIA in so many different countries, having so many offices. Just in Cuba alone, there were over maybe 24 or more offices right there just in Cuba.
Mhm.
The continuity, what I'm getting to, the cultural continuity of Garvey era.
Mhm.
Do you see it happening today?
Yeah, it's still going on, and it's probably even higher. The difference is we're waiting for the enemy to tell us what we look like instead of looking into our own mirrors. So, let me close my door. I have children.
Yes.
I got
This is Roots and Culture on TurnItUp.com, Turn It Up Radio. Yeah, you're listening to your host,
when you got a house
Savannah.
full of grandchildren, I didn't close the door, so they were coming in.
This is family friendly, Baba.
Family
So
friendly.
Okay.
we're used to it. It's family
Yeah, I have them
friendly.
on the screen with me all the time, especially the little
Yeah, man.
6-year-old.
Yeah, man. We're a black family. We are a village, so we're
Yes, sir.
used to it.
Yes,
Baba.
right now, when we look like we're here today, there's thousands of these type of platforms going on right now. But we have to hook up with each other. We have to recognize our presence. You understand? What Garvey managed to do with his leadership, and it wasn't just one man, he was the catalyst. He was the light. But there were men and women all around him.
Yes.
Organizers and speakers and understood the system, and he taught them. He put the fire at their core. He couldn't travel to all of those places, but he could train the soldier that could travel to all those places and give those speeches and give the instructions and show them how to structure an organization. And everything was based around looking at our history, our culture, controlling land, building business, the same things we talk about now. How do we take control of our lives? The land, labor, and resources where we live need to be in our hands and not the Asian hands or the Korean hands or the Arab hands or the Jew hand or the white Catholic hands. When you come to any community in the black community, you say, oh, I'm in Harlem, all these black people, but all the stores are owned by other people who don't live in our Harlem. We go to Bed-Stuy and we say, oh, here, this is Big Africa in New York, a couple of millions of us. But then this one's restaurant and that one kebab and those are not our culture. Your culture.
And that's another content that's another consistent what we find common throughout the black diaspora and Africa. Because here in Jamaica, we are 95% African. But we don't own the businesses. The services that are provided in our community, whether from food, healthcare, education, all comes from other
I've studied it. I know the percentage, but it's true across our world because we display a humanity that says, oh, we could all be together. And we open ourselves to these people to enter our space, but they're not interested in being together. They come to exploit our humanity. So we have to close that door. We have to say our humanity must be extended to others who extend humanity to us. We cannot continue to extend our humanity to those who would come forward to exploit us. And one of the first things Garvey did was to start businesses in every community he organized. The African owned his business. The African owned their school. The African teach their children. He even had a black doll factory, the first factory to make black dolls. You know what I'm saying? So he was clear on the cultural and spiritual consciousness that had to be created. And so there was a blueprint for how to structure and organize a black community. And the first thing, you got to own your own businesses. You got to own the land. You got to service yourself. You can't have your enemy running your school system. You can't have your enemy running your hospitals and wonder why you're dying. You can't have your enemy selling you medication while you've turned your back on the herbalism of thousands and thousands and thousands of years of our ancestors that have kept us alive, especially in Jamaica, because I've been up in the mountains. I've been to the many families. I've danced Nyabingi more than any of you. you know, trying to learn and understand our people and our power. And our
Yeah, the last time I was in your presence here in Jamaica, you were at the courtyard at IRFM. I don't know if you remember.
Yes,
It was
yeah.
yeah. I had brought in
Omar was
Dr.
there
Omar
too.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And
Brother
Muta,
Muhammad.
yeah. Muta
Yeah.
put on a show that night. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
so yeah, I know you've been here and you've been around. So, well, when you see what's happening right now, like as we speak about cultural continuity, when we look at what is happening on the continent with the Sahel Alliance, what does it bring to your mind? What conclusion do you come to, or what picture does it paint to you?
Well, I think of Lumumba, and I think of Nkrumah, and I think of Sankara, and that we better be careful and let the enemy know, if you make us cry this time, we will make you cry. We have the capability of making them cry wherever we are in the world. If you make us cry, we will make you cry. And we saw yesterday, Trump was meeting with certain Negroes at the White House who was there lauding this criminal, you know. And so we know as presidents of the nation, you do have to meet even with your adversaries. We understand that. But we have to be careful what comes out of our mouth when we meet with these adversaries. We know they're coming to Africa for the natural resources and raw materials. And he says it. He says, oh, y'all have plenty of minerals there. He's sitting at the table saying, I'm coming to rob you. And we're smiling.
That's one thing. He speaks his mind. So that's one thing.
Speaks his mind straight ahead.
Yeah.
And so
it seems like we're not listening to what he's saying, though. We're taking, yeah.
There's some of his strategy that makes sense that we could utilize to our advantage. He uses the term. He says, we're exchanging aid for trade. Well, we know aid was never aid in the first place. And we have to be careful. If we're exchanging aid for trade, then let me decide what the contract is looking like. You're not going to use a missile to my head and tell me sign the contract.
Right.
And that's a lot of what's going on now. We just saw it happen in the Congo. We've seen it happen in other places. And he says that's what he's doing. He said, we're the mightiest force. We got all these powerful weapons. We got the highest. That is intimidating. You're threatening me. You said, if I don't sign this agreement and let you steal my gold, my cobalt, my tungsten, and so forth, you can kill me. Well, what I love about the brothers in the Sahel and the sisters in the Sahel, because none of those brothers are doing that by themselves.
Right.
There's men and women that make up those governments. There's communities of men and women and youth that's running those countries. And so we must applaud all of them. We see the spark, we see the leadership, that's the spark. But the fire is the people.
Yes.
And saw the spark and latched onto it, right? And so they're the model for where Africa has to go. Because what they're saying is exactly what Garvey says. We will own the land we live on. We will create our own factories. We will process our own raw materials. We will run our own schools. That's all Marcus was saying to us. Be free. Be free. Know yourself, then service yourself. And that's what's happening in the Sahel. And
so what do you think about the rift that's going on between ECOWAS and the Sahel Alliance?
Well, I think those who make up the ECOWAS community ought to be ashamed of themselves.
I agree.
Our ancestors are really looking down them not well. And I think the youth of West Africa, if they make the wrong move, the youth of Africa will bring them down.
Yes.
And we'll see how quickly they will come down with their little petty governments.
Well, we see what's happening in Kenya and Togo right now with the youths in the street and demanding change. Yeah. So you're certainly right there.
Well, about a month or so ago, the youth across the African world came out to support the brothers and sisters in the Sahel in numbers they've never seen since the days of Garvey.
Yes.
Since the days of Garvey, they've never seen that kind of numbers across the world, and especially on the continent. And that's what quieted everybody down. So America and Britain and them were coming with a new strategy. Oh, we're coming to trade with you. We're going to give you a fair handshake. We know better than that. Mm-hmm. Whatever scheme they got is the scheme. It's like most people don't know when our brothers and sisters would borrow money after having been intimidated from the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. They had to sign a contract not to grow any food to feed themselves, but to buy from the Monsantos of the world. That's why it was so beautiful in Burkina Faso when we saw Toure. The first thing he did was took over the farms. Gave
Yes.
thousands of tractors to the farmers for free. Went and got the youth off the street who was unemployed and said, get on the trucks, we're going to work. And then we saw them producing factory that's processing and canning the vegetable that they produce. They can feed themselves in one season.
Yes.
One season. You know, and we can do
And I
that
heard,
anywhere in Africa if that's the decision our leadership is going to make.
yes. And I heard Traore say that it's the first time in, I guess, pre-colonial, I mean, post-colonial era that Burkina Faso has gold in their reserves.
Yes.
With the amount of gold that has been extracted from the land there and has been shipped overseas, it is unthinkable to think that this is the first time the country has gold as part of its reserve.
Because they're in a freedom process now. They've broken out of the colonial process. We saw Thomas Sankara and his comrades do it, and we saw how viciously they murdered him. And we see how they've been trying to murder our young brother there in Burkina Faso. But they have made a determination that we will not step back. We will not quit. It's freedom or death, just like Dessalines made plain to us. There's nothing in between those two words, freedom or death. And those young people have proven, men and women, in those three governments. And I'm proud that Chad has petitioned to become a part of them, and we're hoping that Senegal will take the next step. They're putting the French military out.
Yes.
Next month. I think they've got to all be gone. And let's hope they take the next step to become a part of the Sahel Alliance. The ECOWAS is obsolete. And I think even Ghana is realizing it's obsolete and beginning to make moves towards the Sahel Alliance. So let's hope that that strength continues.
Yes.
Yeah, because what I saw with the Ghana president when he went to meet with Traore and the alliance, they had sent him to convince them to come back to the table of ECOWAS.
Mhm.
But instead, what I saw him signing MOUs with them.
Right. And so we're hoping that
So his position shift.
Yeah. And we saw Mohammed serve before, and he did do a good job. He did not right after Atta Mills' passing. Let's hope that he has matured into the kind of president who can read. They're talking about reading Nkrumah. They're talking about now understanding Nkrumah's plan. Let's see if they're going to try and implement it for real.
Yes, yes. Because what I see with the what's happening with the Nigerian president who took over the ECOWAS chairmanship or presidency, whatever they call it, his warning, his threat really to Ibrahim was very disappointing to see that kind of arrogance being displayed in a time when unity is what the youths are calling for and change.
But if he moves, you know, when the alliance first came together, he was one of the first ones to threaten war. He was one of the first ones to talk about invasion, because that's what his handlers have told him to do. And he thinks he's got the numbers to do it. But I think they will be very disappointed if they allow themselves to go in that nation to fight those people. They will be very disappointed. Because
under the facade that you are opposing military takeovers, coups.
Right.
You know, people that come to power by coups.
You know, somebody needs to tell America George Washington was a general, and they had an army that overthrew the British. You know, like they talk about the democracy. Your democracy started with your military coup d'etat against the British. So please stop the foolishness.
Yes, taxation without representation, and they rose up. So as we see what's happening right now.
May I interrupt here? One second. Yes, Honorable Empress Cindy does have a question.
Go ahead, Royal Empress. You can pose your question.
Peace and love. How you doing, Professor Small?
I'm well, my dear beloved Empress. How are you?
I'm doing well. I have a question for the eye. What do you think about Burkina Faso, being backed by Russia? Because history shows us that Russia has been allies with different countries in Africa, Angola, Kenya, and some other countries. So, what do you think about Russia being involved with Traore's, rise to leadership and whatnot?
You have to make your allies with whomever would give you the alliances that make sense. Much as the West would talk about Putin, we know Putin is a mixed race person, and we know what the real racism is against towards Putin, And if you go back, Putin, when he was in their intelligence network, you see pictures of him all over Africa. He's with Frelimo. He's with Swapo. In photograph, he's fighting beside the Cubans. This same Mr. Putin, who's now a president of a nation, when he was a young man, he was a guerrilla fighter with the freedom fighters in Africa. So he's not new to being among us, nor is he new to fighting beside us. You remember, Cuba would not have been able to do what they did for our revolutionary freedom without the support of the Soviet Union financing the Cubans' ability to move that army into Africa that defeated South Africa, Britain, and America together, especially in Namibia and Angola. So if the Russians, and I have no problem with Russia, I have no problem with North America, any comrade that will come and help us assist the fight against imperialism and colonialism is a comrade.
True.
You have to
give thanks.
We still have to be cautious with anybody because we've got history to study from. But the history with Putin has been a decades-long positive one with Africa. And
I could add to that as well.
Give thanks.
The Cubans, the Cubans who have also fought alongside us, and as Castro took out of Africa.
Your internet is giving you a struggle.
After fighting with us for our freedom. Are you hearing me?
We're hearing you now. Yeah, we're hearing you now.
Yeah, I'm saying that after the Cubans, Castro said that the only thing they left with when they left Africa after fighting alongside us for our freedom was their dead, was body bags. They didn't leave with bags of golds and bags of stuff like others have done.
No. Cuba has been one of the strongest allies we've ever had. But he was clear, and I remember somebody interviewed him many, many years ago, and they asked him why was he going to fight in Cuba? And he said he was going to fight for the freedom of his brothers and sisters. He made no bones about it. With as much Spanish blood as he had in his veins, we know the history of the revolution in Cuba. We know where he grew up. We know where that revolution began in the Black community in Cuba, and he was among those people that begun that revolution. So he has a history of being clear. And all of the liberation fronts in Africa was allowed to send their students to Cuba to study medicine and other technologies on the olive palms in Cuba. If it wasn't for the Cuban army, apartheid would have never fallen. Cuba decimated the South African army, and then there is no force that assists us physically like the force that came out of Cuba. And many of them look just like us. All the generals that commanded were African generals out of Cuba.
And today they continue to assist us because
they've got the biggest medical force in Africa.
Let's talk about
Cuba.
Right. Right after, during the pandemic, just before the lockdown, it was the Cubans who sent to Jamaica that got us through the pandemic. from a thing called brain drain. They are leaving for greener pastures. So we were lacking the manpower and the woman power in our health field during COVID. And it was the Cubans who assisted us.
They did the same thing
So like
every African nation.
Exactly. So no one can tell us as a people who our friends are or who we should partner with in our struggle. We have to identify, as you say, that force that supports our cause. And Cuba has been that force. If we're talking about Castro, we can't leave out Che Guevara.
Oh no. Guevara went
who
to
has
Africa
been a force as well.
After the death of Lumumba, and he led the Lumumbatistas in against the Americans way back there. Most people, this is before the liberation fronts had formed. And there goes Che Guevara, sent and dispatched by Castro to go to the Congo, where he led the Lumumba resistance movement against Mobutu and Savimbi and the Belgians and the Americans. So history, I always say history erases the mystery. When we understand our history, we know who our friends are, we know who our enemies are.
And I would be remiss if I don't ask this question. The struggle, the Pan-African struggle, which is what we really want to look into tonight. What part do you think religion has played in our struggle, in our demise?
Well, Western religion has been at the core of our destruction. At the core of our destruction. I saw a young lady a young sister, but teenager, on one of the social medias today talking about this. And she was saying, you got to remember, before the soldiers came with the gun, the missionaries came with the Bible.
I speak about that all the time.
It was saying in the Islamic areas, before they came with the swords, here came the mullahs with, oh, salam alaikum, kif alik, and they love us. And then we saw the army came in, our land is now under their control, and we speaking Arabic and bowing 5 times a day. And I don't mean no disrespect to any brothers and sisters who are Muslim. I served as an imam for 18 years, went to Mecca before most of you guys were born. And I walked away when I realized this is not ours. This Christianity, this Islam, this Judaism, with no disrespect for the brothers and sisters who call them Hebrew Israelites, these instruments have been used to murder us mentally, to murder us spiritually, by giving us these folklore and fairy tales and these allegory based on somebody else's fantasy history of how to resolve your most fundamental problems, the problems that tell you what is right and wrong in your mind, and who's friend and enemy in your mind. So me, I'm a man of voodoo. I love my voodoo. I love my Yoruba. I love my Akan, because we had no religion. We didn't need one. We had a relationship with nature and the cosmology. All of our systems of sacred science is dependent on that. The bush in me was friend. The tree in me was friend. The river in me was friend. And anyone who takes them for enemy is foolish. That's why we poison our ecology, following the fools, talking about their religion and their gods, while they poison the very God that has given them life. Our ancestors had it right. They had it right. Voodoo,
yes, they did.
Yoruba is right. Akan is right. Study our tradition.
Yes, it is.
And we'll know that we made up of 40% water. So how can you, 70% to 75% water. So how you pollute the river? That is so stupid. If you know this, you don't understand that. The 400 plus minerals we made up in the soil, and you pollute that soil, that put those minerals in the vegetables that come through our mouth and our bodies. Our ancestors explained these things to us so we could understand them. And we loved them and we were friends with them. Now they're telling us that nature is our enemy. The cosmos is our enemy. Without the cosmos, we get no light. Without the light, we get no energy. So what is he talking about? With science.
You know, the first picture that I got when I first traveled to the US, I saw it and I bought it. It was a plaque with a picture showing I people in chains, and story read, when the missionaries came to Africa, they taught us to pray, closing our eyes. When we opened our eyes, we had the Bible, they had the land.
And that's still very true.
And that has resonated with me, for eternity, because that is the reality. In Jamaica here, we have more churches per square mile than anywhere else. But that has not made our people any more divine or righteous.
Because it's not designed to do that. It is not designed to do that. It is designed to pacify you. It is let me just take one of the stories, mess with people's heads. We're reading the story in the Bible, and there's a man who is resisting, because what they did, a lot of the stories in the Bible, Torah and the Quran, are fundamentally aspects of our history.
Yes, yes.
So that attracts us to the situation. But then they twist it and deform it and make it malevolent, so that instead of nourishing you by your ancestors' tradition, it poisons you. Show you. Here is the man they call Christ. He's resisting a group of invaders called the Romans. Now, anybody with any sense would call him a revolutionary, right? Because he's resisting tyranny. The Romans have taken over his homeland. Whoever this man was, and there may have been multiples of them, and they created a composite, right? But they're resisting Roman tyranny. Now, just in the story they tell us, if we can read between the lines, knowing the culture, we see the lies. So on Good Friday, he tears up the temple and he throws the money changers out. We know money changers mean bankers and investors and usurpers, right? So he's messing with Wall Street equivalent back in that day. He gets arrested. But when he gets arrested, and there's another young man that gets arrested named Barabbas. Now they tell us, oh, Barabbas is an evil man. But if I study Hebrew, I see the word Barabbas means Bar, son of, and Rabbas from Rabbi means Lord. This is Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene's son. Now, Mary told him what my mama would have told my father. You better get your butt down to that jail and get my boy out. You walking around here in the park saying some prayers, and my son is locked up down in the Roman jail. So he concocts a plan with his boy Judas. Judas was one who was the head of the main, even in history written by Josephus, the guy they call him Judas, he's the one who is the head of the revolutionary body, not Christ. Judas is the activist, right? So he concocts this deal. Judas go down and sells the man, and they let the boy go, because he already know how he's going to escape, because he's a voodoo man. I remember when I went to England 30 years ago doing the lecture, Jesus Christ, the voodoo man, I had to hide every night. I was in England. He gets on the cross. It's on Friday. It's around 3 in the afternoon. Sundown is around 5. You can't kill nobody on the Shabbat, on Sabbath, right? You can't bury nobody on the Sabbath. It takes 3 to 5 days to die on the cross, because you die from suffocation with the body weight pulling your muscles to squeeze your neck to death. So they got to let them off the cross now, but they break the legs of the 2 other guys, but they don't break his leg. Now, they're telling you the story now in the book. So they break the legs of the 2 other guys. But back up a minute. He's on this cross. He said, I thirst. Somebody gave him some vinegar and gall. We know gall in Hebrew is pure poppy juice. So he got a swig of pure poppy juice and some vinegar or apple cider, and he swigs it. What does that do? It slows down the body metabolism to the point you don't even need a heartbeat, because you reduce the brain's need for oxygen. So it's, oh, well, they said small. When I did this lecture about 40 years ago, they so small, they stuck him in the side with a spear. And they said he bled blood and water. Let any physician or nurse who you know tell you the only time a human body bleeds water with the blood is because the metabolism is so low, it doesn't need the oxygen. Even then, they knew that. And then they put him in the tomb 2.5 days of his friend, Joseph. And the sisters, who we are known to be, they're the Obia woman and the voodoo woman, they take care of him. Brothers, they done gave up. They thought, oh, my man's gone. They took him out. Sisters came and says, oh, he has risen, and he wants y'all to meet him in this town down the road around the corner where you usually meet. They didn't believe it. So when Thomas gets there, they said, no, you may look like, but we saw them kill you. And what does he tell them? He didn't say, look at my spirit. He says, stick your finger in the damn hole in my physical hand. So they write this stuff and they'll realize nobody's going to pay attention to it. I pay attention because I study our history. I see of our history what they've stolen and represent as their history. And at the Nicene Conference, even the Pope admitted in Cameroon, the 2 popes back, that 8 of the 10 people that started the process of writing the Bible were Black. After that first generation, 325 AD, in Nicaea, then you got the second Nicene Conference. Now you're with the white Romans, and the Conference of Trent and the Conference of Chalcedon and the others. It took them 7 years to create the forgery they've created.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time the Catholic Church was born, the Ethiopian Church was already 500 years old. And the African Coptic Church was already 700 years old. By the time Martin Luther started the Protestant movement, the Ethiopian Church was 1,500 years old. So whose church? So they steal your stuff. That's why the Ethiopian Bible got almost twice as many literature books than theirs and has a history that's completely different from theirs. So they steal our stuff, repackage it, remodel it, then give it to us with their sick poison culture in it, and use that as mind control and propaganda and psychological brainwash to keep us in check with the guns at our heads at the same time. That's been the historical reality since we met them, and they concocted these things we call religion. Is their concoction based on the myth of our people, Jesus and Mary, Osiris and Isis. Then we're going to get back to Pan-Africanism. I was going to give people some foundation here. Osiris,
go ahead, man. Go
Isis,
ahead.
and Kemet, Osiris and Set, the Virgin Mother and the child, is hundreds of thousands of years older than the Mary Jesus naming of the same concept. And what were we talking about? We were talking about time. All women is a Virgin Mother. All women is what the African was talking about, that you should treat all women because she is the mother of creation. When the universe decided to be human, it decided to be an African woman, and then she gave birth to us and sat us on her lap, which is the symbol of the throne. She sat us on the throne. We need to study our history and see what they stole from us and misunderstood and misinterpreted and reinterpreted to the point it even had them confused.
As you touched on Ethiopia and the Ethiopian Bible,
yes.
You have segued into something I must ask you. What is your thoughts on Haile Selassie I, the last emperor of Ethiopia?
Mm-hmm. Well, he was the bloodline of our ancients. Remember, he isn't just the physical bloodline, but there's elders that's teaching him and grooming him from a baby in the wisdom of the ancestors. So he's who we say he is. He is our light of the world because he symbolizes, none of us are God. All of us are aspects of the divine essence having the human experience. But there are those among us who are greater and have greater light than others. And he was one of those. He was of a bloodline of those who carried the light of the divine. And so that's why they had to kill him the way they did and hide the body. But that has not stopped the line, the sacred line that he represents still exists. We may not have learned how to identify them, but they still exist. The sun don't give off one light ray or one light particle. It gives off thousands, millions, billions. Well, so did he. He gave off billions of aspects of himself when he lived as the emperor. He was the emperor not because he was a despot and some king who ruling. He was the emperor because he was the embodiment of the sacred wisdom of our ancestors.
Greatly said. Greatly said. Yes, I. So when we look at the prophecy of Ethiopia being the last bastion of freedom during those darker days, and the invasion of Italy trying to conquer Ethiopia. If the emperor was not victorious after that 5-year stint he did in exile, our history today would have been written much different. We might have still be fighting to free ourselves from those shackles.
Right. Well, remember, Ethiopia wasn't the place we call Ethiopia today.
Right.
That's
right.
ancient Aksum. Ethiopia was the whole continent.
You're right.
The whole continent.
The Ethiopic Ocean. Ethiopia.
Right. But the core, every house got a throne room where the emperor sits or the empress sits. Ethiopia was the place where the emperor sat and the empress sat in our greater Africa house. And so when the Italians came for them, you can kill a lot of people in the field, but when you come for the palace of the king, you're going to have a greater battle. You're going to have to do a lot more fighting. And so we defeated them. And if you study that history, it wasn't just the military defeat. And it wasn't just the brothers, because the plan was really drawn up by the empress.
Yes.
She laid that thing out on how to defeat them. But it took everything, including the lions, you understand, that was trained to fight in battle. It took the knowledge of astrology to confuse and to manipulate the army of the Italian to go into the wrong direction and get themselves trapped in that canyon where they got trapped. There was so much of our sacred science put to work in that battle. Because
we call it Naya. We as Rastafari, we call it Naya Bingi. That's what we call. Yes, sir.
You see, that's the wisdom. It's like coming into, I call it the wisdom cocoon. You come into that wisdom bubble, you're going to get your behind kicked. You're not getting out of the wisdom bubble. You may get us outside of the wisdom sector. But when you come to the core of the wisdom, the house of the wisdom, you cannot win a victory against us there. And Ethiopia in that state saved the rest of Africa.
Yeah.
And you really have to understand that, because that means we were never, ever truly defeated. They defeated aspect of us. But
yes. So, well, as you're speaking, it brings to mind the story of the Knight Templars and the Holy Grail. That's that story where they say that the Knight Templars' whole purpose was to find that bloodline that I and I declare is the bloodline of Haile Selassie the first, coming from the ancient Africans down.
Well, the mistake they've always made, and we even make the mistake, we think the bloodline is some DNA genetic cluster. That's not what the bloodline is. The bloodline is the body of knowledge that make the royal DNA genetic cluster.
Okay. Repeat that again, Baba.
The bloodline that the ancients are talking about is the body of universal cosmic wisdom that makes the genetic and the DNA bloodline that we call royal. That's what the Knights Templars was coming for, but they only got a piece of it. They call it Freemasonry. They took that piece of the body wisdom and they've used it well, because they blind us to our true wisdom.
Yes,
they blind us to the knowledge of our wisdom system. And they take a little piece of the wisdom and they dominate the world with it. But look deeply now. They've never defeated us. Putting us on some ship and dragging us across the ocean, did we die? Did we give up? I mean, did not the world belong to us before we met them? Were we not in this hemisphere and in these islands before they came?
Yes.
So they cause us a great harm. They cause us a great injury, mainly in our minds, mainly in our spirit. If we can regain through the wisdom, through the sacred understanding of our ancestral history, control of our minds, get our memory back, then we will be free totally. We will control the world again. But they brought us here to slaughter us, and look at us. We're 500 million strong in the Western Hemisphere.
Knowing of the mind.
We just confused. Once we get this mind, liberate our minds, as Bob's reiterated, then we would have won this game. And we're in the midst of it now, even having this discussion. This is a discussion about mind liberation.
Yes.
All right. And I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, give thanks for you being in our space and for us being able to sit at the feet of such illustrious elder to, just partake knowledge upon I and I. So we do give thanks. But I wanted to know, let's move it kind of toward the youths of today with all that we're seeing in our communities with the youths of today and all the killings and all the different things.
Mhm.
And we have so many sages, so many ones like the I and others out here. How do we gravitate? How do we get them? How do we get them to understand that the fight is not against your brother and your sister?
Each
There's
other.
a larger fight
Right.
out there. What would
Well,
you have to say about that?
Yes, ma'am. What we've got to understand is they were killing the black males for centuries, and somehow we were still reverberating. And then they went after the black woman because it's her who teaches the child. It's her who teaches.
Yeah.
So they went after our women, and the damage they brought there allowed the children to escape into their hands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so we have to fight to get them back by we can't shuffle. We can't say, oh, the church may be a good thing if we go through this door. No. Voodoo daha. That word means in the Ewe language, I'm the essence of God.
Voodoo
In my
aha.
language. Voodoo daha. The Ewe people, when they want to say God's essence in me, they say voodoo daha. God's essence in nature, voodoo gazi. And we can use any other word we want, but we got to let our children know, no, we did not give up on Obia. Obia is not an aside. It's not some negative thing we visit in the dark. Let's put our real food on the table in front of them and stop saying, yes, we want freedom, but we're ashamed of our ancestors. Yes, we want freedom, but we're ashamed of our way. Right? Let's tell them we have an alternative better than theirs. We have an alternative that will let you love yourself. We'll have an alternative that lets you not feel inferior to them because they got something. What they have, they got from murder and stealing. They don't have because they're greater than you. And the way you stop them from murder and stealing from you, you become yourself so you can defend yourself. But you can't become yourself with me trying to make you a better version of them.
Correct.
Or if you just get a PhD.
Agreed.
Or if you just go
Agreed.
to church.
Go ahead.
No. Make me a better version of my ancestors so I can compete against them. And we have to bring that to the youth unabashedly, unashamed. I'm not ashamed when I go in front of the young people to tell them who I am. I'm an African. And what I believe and understand, I love the cosmology and I love the ecology. I'm a part of it. What you call voodoo and obia that they tell you to look down on, that is the core of our being. Let's grab it back and tell them we're holding this lamp in our hands. Now you want to hold your Christian lamp or your Muslim lamp or your Jewish lamp, put that lamp up against my lamp. My lamp is not murdering you. My lamp is not selling you dope. My lamp did not rape and murder your mother and your father. Their lamps did, and you now carrying their lamps. Let's try handing this lamp to you, and let's study it. Let's learn that we can change our diet. Everything you call an obia, people are now calling holistic health. You know, so
Yes.
it's okay if we got to call it. Let's call it obia holistic health. Then this is our way, and we have to own it in front of the children. Let it be our shield and not be ashamed to be African. We're going to be African in the dark or in our meeting room or in the halls where a few of us who think alike go, no, let's be Africa 24/7 wherever
right.
we're walking.
You see,
know,
what is,
give me
oh,
a
sorry,
second.
I don't want to forget.
Sorry, the Empress. I just wanted to, before he moves on from that point, we
No,
have
but
a
let me
great.
add one more piece to the Empress answer, though. We
Go
already
ahead.
have institutions in place.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in guerrilla fighting and guerrilla warfare.
Mm-hmm.
I would tell anybody, take your African wisdom and join the church and steal your children back. You go into any of these and go into the public school system and steal your children back. Fight wherever you are. Fight in the labor unions. Fight wherever you are to bring the African thing to fore. We can't say, let's just try to regurgitate their thing and see if we can make a better white man out of this black man. That has proven not to work. It has taken us
Yes.
deeper and deeper into the abyss with self-hate and looking up to these things as though there's something because they're walking around with all this wealth. They got through murder, mayhem, and stealing. And we think we now have to learn murder, mayhem, and stealing to walk
to get it
the
back.
wealth they want.
And I'm glad that you said that because, you know, our students spend, what, the better of 8 hours in school system.
Under their control.
Under their control, being taught, they refuse to, I'm in the Virgin Islands, and they refuse to teach them Caribbean history, Virgin Islands history. They refuse that. So, you know, definitely they're going to refuse to even teach African history.
I used to come to the Virgin Islands lecture years ago, and they gave me
yes.
But we got it done. I forgot my brother who always invited me. He's an ancestor now. But we fought to teach that history, even in the alleyways, even in the universities. It was just hard, but that's our greatest weapon.
Albert Bryan, Adelbert Bryan?
No, it was
he is the one here. They've been fighting for the last 30 plus years to get them to teach Caribbean history. And that's a long time. And the government just continuously refuses and refuses and refuses.
But they understand that if we give them this truth about themselves, we lose control of their minds. It's so simple. That's why we got to see how important it really is, because they understand that if we let them know themselves, they learn to love themselves. If they learn to love themselves, they're going to see me for myself. It's that simple. And so we have to teach it everywhere and anywhere we can. In our house, create rites of passage groups where, say, 10 families get together and all the children of those 10 families come together once a week or once every other week and do this. Even my household, with all that I know, you think my children aren't coming to some of this and my grandchildren? We had a meeting this week with my youngest daughter that we're now going to put the family's rites of passage together. And I'm clearing the basement now. This library is going down there, but I need more room. And every one of these grandchildren will come here once a week and be bored to death by grandpa, because I'm going to teach them African history, and we're going to teach them dancing, and we have our drums, and we're going to teach them drumming, and we're going to let them know you have to love yourself. Because I've seen too many of the grandchildren go out there in the street. I've seen the girls getting molested and raped before they're 15. I've seen them getting on drugs. I'm just so happy I got one of my boys back off drugs. He was the only one that went to the drugs, and he's 23 now, and we got him back. And I the conversation, he said, "Grandpa, I didn't know where I was. I suddenly realized I really have a family." And so I tell him, I've always let him know, I'm here at the end of your telephone. Call me anytime for anything, you know. But that's what we got. We got to go to war, escalate the war, take our children in our household. And if we took 1 hour a night to watch a video or to read a book, that's all it takes.
Yeah, Baba. I wanted to interject this from earlier before we moved on. A great writer, African writer, kind of described what you're talking about, how it started, and how it came to be what it is today. Chinua Achebe, with a book called Things Fall Apart.
I remember when I first read that book, it woke me up.
Woke me up myself as well. Because it described exactly how it was done, how the so-called mercenaries dressed like missionaries came in with the Bible, and they separated the heirs of the throne, the chief's son, the king's son, the first priest's son, all of the nobles, They separated their children from them, taught them that their ancestral practices were
Witchcraft.
hedonistic, pagan, whatever. And there is where it started. The collapse. Like the book, the title says, things fall apart. That's how things started to fall apart.
And
until it's here today. Go ahead.
And we have to let our children know that we are not going to give up our ancestors. If you look behind me, all of those, there's about 100 of them there. I knew them all when they lived, and they loved me. I loved them. When I walk out of this house any day of the week, that whole entourage be walking with me.
True.
Sometimes I see people be scared and that it hits me. They're really with me. All right? Those bundles of energy that had to give up their matter, their body, but those bundles of energy is still in the rest of us, is all around us. That's what ancestors is. We are the ancestors going forward. And when we die, our children will be us going forward. When we gave birth to the children, we gave birth to ourselves. Yes. They are replacements, and they are a continuum. There's never been a time when we didn't exist. There never will be a time when we don't exist. Our problem is someone has messed with our conscience of understanding why we exist. And we exist to rule the world. Because
I'm glad you explained that. I've heard you explain that before, even a greater detail, and it blew me away. The fact, just the simple way how you describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Our parents created themselves when they created us.
Yes. We are the ancestors we're talking about. All of the memories that all of those people there is in my DNA. All of their memories, even the ones who taught me with their voice and their ideas, all that is in my head. I have to learn to create. That's why ancestors created certain rituals to teach us how to remember.
Yes.
How to recall the body of wisdom. The moon and the sun, those are our mothers and fathers. They created us out of themselves. The dust of the cosmos makes up our bodies. The light of the Milky Way makes up our energy field.
Yes.
That's what the white man don't understand. That's why he pollutes and he damages. He's not a mature thing. He's a mutation in nature.
Yeah.
A few hundred years, maybe less than 1,000 years, he'll be gone. But if the damage that he's done remain with us, he will come back again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the albino species.
Yes. And so we have to make clear, we stand as our ancestors. I am an Obeah man. I am proud of it. I will never walk back from that. I am a voodoo man. I am proud of it. I'm a root man. My grandma was a root woman. Nobody loved me much as that lady loved me.
Yes.
And I remember when I was going away to New York to join Malcolm X's organization, and she said, "Why are you going to New York? I want you to stay home." And so I said, "Oh, Mama, they killed this man. He was a good man. So I'm going to find his organization. I'm going to join and fight with them." And so I remember she made me pray. She took my head and put it in her womb. Said, "Put your head here." On her, in between her legs. And she prayed for me. And when I got up, she says to me, "No one will be able to kill you. Just don't let it go through your mouth."
Wow.
Through your mouth, I can't stop it. But anywhere else, no one will be able to kill you. This is over 60-something years ago. And trust me, quite a few have tried in the 60-something years. And no time they arrested me could they hold me. I think I was overnight, maybe only twice. The rest of the time I walked. That old lady that...
Protected. Yeah, you're protected. Yeah.
The other day, there were some troubles in my world because my main shrine is in Trinidad. My goddaughter and now my spiritual mother, because her mom has passed, flew all the way from Trinidad to bring me medicine for me to drink just in front of her. Because she says, "These things are in your way. So, Baba, come. I want you to drink this medicine so I can see you drink it." But those who understand matter and energy, we'll say we're matter and we're energy. We'll say we're made up of 400 plus minerals. We'll say we made about 77% water, but then we don't believe it. We say all this, then we don't believe it. Because if we believe it, we'll know that the herbs and the different things that our ancestors put together had a certain kind of effect on us. I eat the carrot. The carrot comes up out of the ground. It's made up of the minerals in the ground, and is empowered by the light of the sun. And it allows the carrot to create something called beta carotene, which is used for my vision, very specific.
Yes.
Beets grow in the same ground, gets the mineral from the grounds, suck the light from the sun, but it grows to clean the arteries in my vessels. Well, the ancestors knew all these things.
Yes.
They knew these things. And so they can nurture us to be healthy for a long time so we can function in harmony to build the kind of society that we want to see. And remember, at the foundation of this thing is your ability to provide food, clothing, shelter, and safety for yourself, your family, and your community. It's not esoteric what we're fighting for. I want to have food for my family. I want to have shelter for my family. I want to have clothing for my family. I want to have safety for my family. And I want to have security around my community. And when I realized that this is what my ancestors was fighting for, then they say you got to get control of the land that you live on. You can't let somebody else own your land. And the labor in the land must come from you. And the resources of the land must be used for you to produce the food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security. People think we're talking too esoteric. No, we're talking basic. But you got to understand the esoteric science of the ancestors to know how to use it to provide the basic things you need for yourself and your family.
True.
Baba, I have a question.
With that, as you come to that, I want to open up the floor to the royal cast. Any of the item have any questions for Baba?
I do. I want to give thanks for your presence. You know, you're awakening some things I think have been dormant in me for a while. You know, I went through a rites of passage when I was about 18, when I was at NC State. I don't know if you're familiar with Kwabena Ashanti. He was a counselor over at NC State, and I joined Kemetic, the New Order.
We were good friends.
Right.
We come down there for conferences, talking
wow.
stuff I'm talking.
Okay.
Papers from 30 years ago. I go, look,
yes, most definitely. I haven't spoken with him in a while. Has he transitioned?
I think so. I think that somebody may have told me about 2 years ago now.
Right. I remember hearing from some of my peers that he was ill. But I give thanks for you. You know, the time is now and past due for us to have this kind of, you know, discussions, you know. But I want to talk about the great divide that I'm sensing amongst the Black man and the Black woman. You know, there seems to be a rise of like hatred. You know, I hate to use that word, but, you know, I follow some young people on social media because I like to hear about the building up of relationship and our bond amongst, you know, the Black man and the Black woman. I am sensing that there is a great divide between us, and it's starting to feel as though the Black man despises the Black woman. This is the language that I'm hearing, you know, and think about that point there. What is your view on that? And is it post-traumatic slave, you know, syndrome that we're dealing with? And what other wounds, ancestral wounds that may be there? But not only that, the rise of homosexuality amongst our men and our women. And is it a spiritual attack? You know, is it chemicals in the food?
It's an organized attack by the human rats
right.
And they've been using that homosexual thing as a weapon for some time.
Right.
But let's go back to the sometimes we got to be careful of what you see on social media. It may give you a picture that looks bigger than the real picture.
Well, these are discussions. These are rooms that I enter in to hear the young people making these discussions.
I hear them.
Yeah.
But they may not be representative of the larger body of our people.
True.
And so I was just having the discussion with Easily done talk last week on this very issue. And if you do the research, you will still find that over 78 to 79% of Black men, sometimes to 80%, still marry Black women, contrary to what the enemy is saying. And then the same thing with I think it's 90% of Black women who still marry Black men. So that we're talking about a small percentage who gets a voice. Okay?
Right.
But that, and sometimes they not just get a voice, they're given a voice. Right? To spread their kind. It's like that FDA and Foundation Black American crap that it started out with somebody trying to identify themselves, but the enemy is smart enough to know how to use your blindness. You understand? And money buys. We saw it with rap music. Started out as a beautiful cultural phenomena, and then somebody put money in to spread poison instead of music. And so, yes, that term you use, I'm the one that coined, when Joy was still in school, the term post-slavery trauma syndrome. In 1992, I gave my first lecture on post-slavery trauma syndrome, and I was responding to the same question you were asking. Why were Black men and women so bitter towards each other? And what I discovered, it went back to the damage and the harm done in slavery. And that's where the term post-slavery trauma syndrome comes from. Post-past slavery means the harmful institution. The trauma is the damage done, and syndrome is that it's continuous. Right. And so you got to say it the right way. Post-slavery trauma syndrome is the right way to describe the phenomena that they put us in. And yes, some of us are bitter and angry at one another because some of us are caught into the poverty clusters where they put us where we don't have access to economics, we don't have access to good education, we don't have access to being able to provide food, clothing, and shelter, and the enemy can come in with his dope. The enemy can come in with his other things and use us against ourselves to make some money to provide the basics. Because the person selling dope, he's still trying to do food, clothing, shelter, safety. Don't forget that, right? He's trying to get a car, but not just for the sake of having a car. The same reason me and you want the car is the reason he's trying to get the car. But he's been deluded to the point he will do these vile things to get that car. And so we have to understand then what condition is producing that mind that they can get to that easily. And it comes back to what Empress Tricia was saying. How do we get control of the mind of those young people? How do we be able to have the influence? They're in the enemy's hand, sitting there almost zombified for 8 hours a day. And we get them for an hour at night because by the time we get home from work, we're tired and beat. And then we got to fix dinner. We got to serve dinner. They got to do their homework, and then they're off to bed. So we hardly having any influence over our children in the course of any full day. So how do we get that kind of control? Because if we don't get control, the enemy will get control. When the enemy get control, you see those hurt, damaged, bitter young people who have been hurt. And remember, we who are sitting here, we weren't sent to the ones who have healed themselves. We were sent to those ones who are lost. We are sent to the ones in the darkness. We are sent to the ones who are bitter and angry. That's what we're sent to. We have been sent to bring light to them, to give comfort to them, to give direction to them. That's not an easy job.
I'm an educator too, by the way, high school.
Yes, man. So that's our only job. Our job is how do we find a way to defeat the brainwashing? How do we find a way to defeat what neocolonial and colonial education has done to our people? And the only way to do that is to be the best example of the African you can be. Be that light. Don't let them look up to you and say, oh, Ms. Naja ain't all she say who she is, right? Be the African Ms. Naja. That's my youngest daughter's name, by the way.
Okay.
So be that. We stand up. Yes, you're not going to have all of the things. Like me, I don't have no pension. Why would they give me a pension? I'm fighting them all my life, right? So that's all right. I built a strong enough family. Me and my family, we take care of each other. My big brother's almost 90 years old, but if I'm leaving the country tomorrow, he will not leave his house till I get back, in case I need him, in case I need a few dollars. We know that we have a job. We've been sent to earth to fight for freedom. But freedom just don't mean the right to go here, do here, buy here. Freedom means the right to be what God has created us to be. And that's the prototype of God itself. We have to be an imitation of God. We
Yes,
have to
yes.
not be afraid to say that. Not be afraid to try to be that.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, the
Okay.
more you go that way, the more the force is going to come against you. But the more it comes against you, the stronger you're going to be going that way.
Right.
And so wherever we can put together rites of passage programs, even if we have to put it together in a church, if we have to put it together in a temple, we have to lie and cheat them. Whatever we got to do to get a way to teach these young people. Wherever we see them on the streets, if we're afraid of them, because sometimes they can be very intimidating, then let us go in groups of 5, 6, and 7 to talk to them instead of one and having conflict with them, you know? And trust me, somebody in the group will listen to you. I've gone among them and I live with them. And somebody among those young people will hear you and they will help you reach the other ones. But we've got to go to them with this knowledge and not be ashamed. Wear our clothing, you know, wear our symbols and explain it to them. I was doing it with one of my grandchildren this morning. She came and she had a cross around her neck on one of these little plastic white things. And she started defending herself immediately. She said, Grandpa, I ain't know Christian. I said, no, baby, it's all right. If you know what the cross means.
Right.
So let's teach them that history. Because if you teach them the history, they can make the transition back to Black. She said, I want an uncle. I said, but you're going to get one. I'm taking her with me to Africa this summer. In 2 weeks, she'll be gone with me to Ghana, Egypt. And one of my gifts for her, besides the trip and her cousin, is going to be an uncle. Because they're both young ladies, 115, 118. And I got to get them to see the African world, to see another world besides what white America has allowed us to see. As young women. And I'm surprised the degree to how they've gotten their minds ready. You know, I've been working with them. And I pick her up once or twice a week and she rides around with me because I said, I'm not your mother and your father. So you have to learn how to talk to me. You know, you have to learn how to share with me. And you're going to be under my authority for 2 weeks. I don't want no mess because I'll knock your little black behind out. So know that you're grandpa and this is the way. And I've seen such a curve my baby have made in about 3 months of me working with her. I see the curve. And I know she got a way to go. But I know that if we don't get in there and fight with them toe to toe,
it's true. It's true.
So wherever we can do programs so we can invite them in, even if we got to, you know, serve refreshments, to get something, play some music that they like. That's what I used to do at City College. I wanted people to come to my history. I set up the DJ. I got the music.
Right.
I got the cookies and the cake. And they come and I lock the damn door. And
Right.
I would not let them out till they heard the lecture. Then the word kind of got around. It ain't harmful to hang out with Dr. Jeffries, Dr. Scobie, and Professor Small. And so we built a youth organization called the Sons of Africa that's now 10 years old.
Yeah.
You know, we're now bringing in the youth under them because they have wives and children and grandchildren. And it worked. So I know it works. But we got to go to them and not be afraid of them. And even if you're afraid of them, tell them, I'm afraid, but I'm coming anyway because I love you so much. I'm going to be vulnerable for you because you're the only future we got. The only future we got is our babies.
That's it.
You know?
Baba, as you brought up Baba Jeffries, how is Baba Jeffries doing?
He's doing good. I haven't seen him in a week, but Brother Charles went out to visit him yesterday. He's in a transitional nursing home. He had to have some minor surgery 2 weeks ago. So he had to go, what they call the rehab facilities.
Yes.
To get his legs back strong again so that he can go home.
Okay.
Because he's in that home, you know, because he's used to being out here fighting. But he's doing pretty good for his age. He's about both him and his wife. His wife would turn 90, and then he would be following right behind her.
I was just gonna ask you about her as you ended.
She's doing wonderful, but she's been carrying the weight of his illness for the last, you know, he had surgery like 2-3 years now, and she's been carrying that weight, and that's too much for an elder. So we've been trying to chip in as much as we can and anywhere we can to support them. But he's in good spirits. And he's doing good. I'm gonna tell him to
share the love with them for me. Share the love. Just let him know that Priest Dougie sends. Yes, Did you happen to know Mother Jordan?
We didn't do a lot together, but yes. We didn't do a lot of
Okay.
work together, but yes, sir. Because
Okay.
we were all in the circles that we had, with the African lecture series and the First World lecture series with Dr.
Yes.
Dan Parker. We all kind of clustered together with the ASCAC grouping over almost a 30-year period of time.
Yeah. She was one of our mothers.
Mm-hmm.
She used to call us late, myself and my brother Jabalani.
Mm-hmm.
She used to call us later. She was just a phenomenal woman. Being blind and traveling on her own everywhere. She came to Jamaica by herself, blind. She was a strong Gaviite.
Yes.
I'm better for knowing her.
When I
Is
first
really
came
what
to
I'm
the
saying. She was a great woman.
city of New York, she and Ella, Malcolm's sister, Queen Mother Moore, and there was a sister named Sister Emily White, and
Yes, Queen Mother Moore as well. Yeah, very close to us.
And so Sister Audley Moore, and then Sister Brown, who worked and ran that big bookstore. This cluster of women, there was a few others. They were really the catalyst of a lot of the male leadership that you saw emerge out of the 60s.
Yes.
I was one of them. I was like one of the young servants to these elder women. Most of my teachers were Black women. And, I don't think I've ever been in an organization where there wasn't a Black woman leader. So that's a blessing. Yeah.
Truly. Yeah, I was familiar with I was close with I don't know if you know Brother Dale Jones and Sister Q.
Yes. No, we were all out here together. Dale was one of the close comrades.
Yes.
Brother Shango out of Philadelphia. Bobby Shingi out of New York.
Yes, because I lived in Philly as well. Yes, I know him. Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, man. It's been a long road, but give thanks that I is still here with us.
Oh, yes.
As you
always,
do
every day. Let's come to the Pan-African question, because there's a big Pan-African conference that's coming up, I think, in December in Togo. I'm waiting to get some. They were supposed to do it last year and it got canceled, but I think it's back on for December this year. I'm waiting for Baba Kalfani to send me the information. But all across the world, this question of Pan-Africanism is now being discussed again by the youth. And there's a conference going on all around Africa and over here. And then you got an element who's attacking Pan-Africanism, like those who say they're in this ADOS grouping and the Foundation of Black Americans. And you have to tell them that Pan-Africanism is not an organization. Pan-Africanism is a concept of unity, And so a lot of, even those we think are smart and know what they're doing, you realize when you're ignorant to your history, doesn't matter how much technical skills you got, you're backwards.
Yes.
So Pan-Africanism, which is a concept that goes back even to the Honorable Messiah Marcus Garvey, even though they weren't calling it that then, they would call that later coming out of Trinidad. And then the boys would latch onto it in America, and then they would take it to London, and they would begin to meet with the Africans from around the world and create this movement that led to the liberation of most African countries. People don't follow that at that last big conference. I remember Dr. Scobie, who was one of my teachers from Dominica, he was at the last conference. What was that? The Manchester conference. And that's where Jomo Kenyatta was, and Kwame Nkrumah, and Ezekiel was. And all of those men back home went back home and overthrew colonialism.
That was the 1945 conference you're talking about?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. And that conference was one of the most powerful. They don't get talked about as much as it needs to be talked about, because they came up with some plans, and they worked their plans.
Yes, they did.
And on the continent of Africa. They worked their plans, and it led to the level of liberation we have today. We have to now take it to the next level.
Yes.
And the level that we need to do, come back to Chinua Achebe, when we look at things fall apart, how he dismantled our social relationships.
Yes, I.
And so that's why we have to come back to our culture and our tradition so we can reestablish those social relationships, especially in the family. And the thing that stands in the way of it is these religions, because the religion has taken place of our spiritual culture.
Yes.
Okay? And we think that's our culture. That's not our culture. That is a social aside that don't allow you to practice your culture. Anytime you try to practice your culture, it attacks you from your own mind, from your own mind. And so as an institution, it attacks you because most of it is controlling the education of your children, which is the socialization process. How they get their values, interests, and principles comes from that educational system. And if we can't have an impact on the children after school and on the weekend, we can't compete with what they're doing Monday through Friday.
Rastafari.
So true.
Can I ask a question?
Bless
Baba?
of love. Just
Oh,
pardon
go,
me, eh?
yes, go.
As we only Pan-African, my name is Empress Dion, and I would just like to ask, as we move into the 21st century, what does Pan-African struggle look like, and what is your message to the next generation?
Pan-African struggle looks like what it always looked like, and we forgot and dropped the ball. Teaching the history to our children. See, because you don't know what to do next if you don't know what just happened. Something happens to us yesterday. How do we know what to do today if we don't have any knowledge of yesterday? Yesterday is your history. It seems so mundane. History, how can history make a revolutionary? Look at all of our great revolutionaries. The one thing they had in common, they knew the history of their people. So they understood who the enemy was, who the friend was. They understood what they had lost and what they had to fight to gain. I always use a simple term: history erases the mystery. Because Pan-Africanism simply means the unification of African people. How am I going to understand what my relationship to the African in Jamaica if I'm from New York and somebody's been telling me he's different, I'm different. We're not the same people. Even in America, I'm from South Carolina, I have one accent. The man from California got another accent, and they tell us we ain't supposed to be together. We're different. And then you get into a city where you got the 5 parts of the city, Chicago and New York and so forth, and we chop ourselves up in little gangs because one of a group of us come from Mississippi, the other group come from South Carolina, the other group come from Alabama. That's how these gangs are organized, based on these little regional geographical location our forefathers came from into these northern cities. And that's the ignorance of not knowing the history of Mississippi, the history of Arkansas, the history of South Carolina, and our people struggle for freedom. So history is one of the biggest weapons we can bring. In history, you learn about Garvey. In history, you learn about Nanny. In history, you learn about Ida B. Wells. In history, you learn about Booker T. Washington. Right now, if you ask the average person, even in the struggle about Booker T. Washington, they put him down. But they don't understand. Booker T. Washington, Marcus Garvey was like this. It's Booker that invited Garvey to come here, read Tony Martin's work, or read any of Booker's work.
Yeah, man, that's fact. I'm a Garveyite, so yes,
But they
definitely.
killed Booker.
Yeah.
They murdered Mr. Booker before Garvey could get here.
Yes.
2 months before Garvey got here under mysterious circumstances. All right. Went to a meeting. They called him to this meeting up in New York to settle a rift between him and Monroe Trotter. Monroe, who was supposed to be the radical left, but had a white wife. And, I don't, got to be on him for history. Du Bois was at that meeting. A bunch of white people was at the meeting. Mr. Booker got sick. They rushed him to St. Luke Hospital. He never recovered. He called his family and said, if I'm going to die, bring me to Tuskegee. But people are lying, saying he died in Tuskegee. He died on the train going to Tuskegee when they pulled him to the station at Baltimore, Maryland. Right? They murdered him. They poisoned him. Because remember, before Garvey came here, there was a battle that Booker was leading. I forgot the name of the bill. They were trying to do a bill to block Africans from the Caribbean to come to America. But Mr. Booker and his organization beat that bill. They defeated the bill, right? And a few years before that bill was launched, he had a conference called the Conference of the Negro World. Now, the British let Garvey come to that conference, but a Jamaican delegation of 10 came to that conference, and they took the word back to Mr. Garvey. And I knew Mr. Booker's grandson, and he was the first one that showed me the letters way back in the 60s between Mr. Booker and Mr. Garvey. The letters are all now in the Schomburg collection library. So that's why history erases the mystery and let us see people have been lying to us about things. And so we need to study so we can tell our children the truth. Now, they had some differences, but they didn't let those differences stop them from uniting. That's the key thing, because they had a greater vision of how to help the race, you know. And Tony Martin writes about this well in one of his books, you know, God bless Tony's soul. You know, Dr. Tony Martin out of Trinidad, he wrote what I consider to be the premier document. His last book before Tony died from cancer some years back was called A History of the Caribbean by Dr. Tony Martin. If you don't have that book, get that book. Tony really, like they say, he put his foot in it on that, in that research. He really does. And he writes.
Professor Michael Barnett, I see you online here. This is another Garveyite and a brethren of Tony Martin as well.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, just came online, you know. Yeah, it's tragic, you know. Tony passed away so suddenly early 2013. I remember that because, you know, I spoke with him up to 2012. And in fact, he came to Jamaica for the Garvey anniversary in 2012. And I was there at Liberty Hall and stuff. But I didn't know that would be the last time I would see him. I mean, he looked healthy at the time. He looked, you know, that was August 2012. And then January 2013, when you say him passed. So that took me by surprise, you know?
Yeah, it took all of us, because when he was going to Jamaica, we met in the airport. I don't know where, I think I was going out to California. And when Mother Joan and them called and said we lost Tony, I thought that, you know, sometimes people, you don't get it right.
Yeah.
So I went down to Trinidad to the funeral and spoke at the funeral, because he was just one of those Garveyite soldiers that was, Tony wasn't scared of nothing.
Yeah.
That pen of his was a sword, 2 swords. You know, I remember when they attacked Dr. Jeffries, it was Tony Martin that set out and wrote a whole book pushing the Jews back. You know, they tried to get him fired and everything and kicked out of the college. None of it worked, because Tony stood up. He was a fighter. You know? So, Professor Barnett, I used to come to.
They came out against Baba Jeffries as well back then.
Yes, and Tony defended him stronger than anybody else could with that pen of his.
Yeah, he was a soldier, definitely a soldier, and you know, yeah, I think he passed too soon, you know.
Yeah, too young. He was just
getting started, just
getting started. Where he had it all, he understood. That's why that last book, A History of the Caribbean, is so fantastic, and it's hard to get now. I tried to buy a copy the other day for me and a sister, and they're charging like $100 and something. You just got to keep going back, because sometimes they go up to $200 or $300. That's to keep us from getting it. But I found the trick is just to keep going back and back and back, and the price come down, and then tell them you want a used copy, and even a good used copy is good. But they play games with strategic documents, and that's a strategic document.
That one.
I want to ask you one question. One question before we run out of time. What's your take on the Black Lives Matter movement?
Well, you know, nothing is quite what it appears to be. The movement itself started when the young boy was killed. Forgot his name, down in Florida there.
Trayvon Martin.
Trayvon.
Yes, Trayvon. And the young ladies, it was 3 Black women that started it. And some people get upset because one of them was very much into the LGBT.
Right, yeah, I know her, yeah.
But all of them seem sincere about the effort. But see, when you align yourself with what I call the demon rats, you know, the Zionist left network, you committing suicide. as a movement and as an organization. And so when the Young Brothers was choked to death in Minnesota, we saw the people rise up under that banner. Now, most people wasn't a part of that organization, but that was the banner. And people rose up under the banner. And so the impression was that was an organization, but that wasn't an organization. That was just humanity responding to something very inhumane. I give them credit. They were able to give leadership to that effort in a significant way. But because the West supported them being the leadership instrument. Let me show you an example. You remember when the brother Brown was shot down in the streets of St. Louis? Well, there were more members of the Black Panther Party there and of the Nation of Islam there fighting in the streets than there was Black Lives Matter. I think there was 13 people from Black Lives Matter, but the press only covered Black Lives Matter. But the hundreds of members of the Nation of Islam and the Black Panther Party, you never saw them there. So the American press can make whomever they want the leader. And then if you get carried away and think you're the real leader without really working to be the leader, you can become the misleader. Okay. And so a lot of money was raised by the group, and I heard there was some shenanigans, but somebody ran off with the money here and misuse of the money there, and then the organization split. And there's still efforts on the part. I don't want to disperse any individual. I'm just talking about organizational structure, the way these things happen in America. And how we ally ourselves with the wrong people. We saw the same thing with the Black Panther Party, with their alliance with the CPUSA and the other left-wing Zionist people who know how to come and join us when we look like we're going to be a threat to what they're about. And the next thing you know, our organization is splintered and we shooting each other and all kinds of foolishness. I've lived through it. I've seen it, and it was real. And so Black Lives Matter as a movement have really peaked in America. You don't really see that big effort. In some small clusters, they're still strong. And the young people who came and joined it, they came out of a sincere heart to fight for freedom. And the mass of the people we saw when George Floyd died, there were actually more white Americans in the street than there was Black Americans in the streets, even though a lot of us was in the streets, because the people were responding to a humanity issue. And sometimes we don't pay attention to that. If you see, the American government may trash Jamaica economically, politically, and culturally, and try to keep the neo-colonial structure going. But if Jamaica have a disaster, the American population may go in their pocket and send their last penny to help the people of Jamaica. So we have to learn to tell the difference between the people and their humanity and these governments who bamboozles everybody. You know? And so if we don't keep the clarity, the same people who would show that humanity, they'll turn against me and you because we're not clear about the difference between them.
You know what was amazing about that period? I saw right here in the islands, in Trinidad and other places around the world, people coming out and chanting the same chant.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter.
All over the planet. It's because there was a human beingness, and the term itself called for a statement the way Floyd was murdered in that street that day. I mean, in plain sight of the whole world, there was no way the world couldn't have exerted its humanity, and the world did. Across the world, the humanity, and that term, Black Lives Matter, was just the proper term for the moment and the time. And that's when we got to look at the issue that we call our divine element, the thing we'll call Oludumare, or we'll call whatever name we use to call our great divine. It may be more in charge of our lives than we give it credit for. You know, Christianity that make you think it's up there, you down here, you make an appeal. No, maybe it's all over the place, including in you, like the ancestors said. It's in every and all things at once, but you've got to be conscious of that. And when you're conscious of it, you got to behave in a manner that's appropriate for its representation in your environment.
Ashe.
So what does the Pan-African movement look like going forward in this 21st century, Baba?
We have to keep coming together, looking at, like, for instance, we were discussing Burkina Faso, the people of the Sahel, the ECOWAS group. We need to look at West Africa. We need to ask the fundamental questions. What the heck is Kenya doing in Haiti? And he needs to take them troops back home. We need to ask the fundamental questions of how can CARICOM take a stronger stand towards Haiti and the American dominance in Haiti.
Yes, yes.
How do we ask those questions? We got to look at what is going on in our environment, politically, economically, and culturally, then ask the right questions, because there's no reason why. I mean, Haiti is one of the wealthiest islands in the Caribbean, even today. Has more gold. It has the what do you call the thing? The iridium. Only 2 countries of Africa.
Yes.
It has nickel. It has multiple others, and that's what they're stealing while they blind us to a few people they've armed and called gangs and put in the street to cause disruption, and they're stealing everything they can steal out of the country.
The Clinton Foundation been doing that for many years.
They're one of the peak organizations, but the Syrians and the Lebanese, who we call the oligarchs, those light-skinned people you saw running around during the earthquake with guns in their hands, these were people Haiti gave refuge to after the First World War. And these are the people that came in like a Trojan horse. And they got their big mansions in Florida and other parts of America, but they're still running Haiti. They're Syrians and Lebanese, but they're working for the Americans, the Israeli, the British, and the French. So we just got to be clear what's going on. There's a good a podcast. It's done, well, not a podcast, platform by Italy Dunto. It's called the Free Haiti Movement, where she really gives some good information on a daily basis of what's going on down there.
Yes.
And anything that you can look up around the sites run by Baina Bello. He also, Baina does some good analysis. I was back and forth down there for quite some time, but it got a point where they tell me I can't come there no more. And the last
I've been
almost fatal.
I've been trying to keep the information flowing in regards to Haiti. Every so often, there's a pastor down there that is doing a monumental job, trying to mobilize the people and protect the females as they are endangered. So every so often, he comes on the program and gives an update with what's going on. Because we have to keep the Haiti situation is on us now. It's no longer on them, it's on us.
I agree. And
so it's on us to find the solution. It's the same thing with Sudan. What's going on in the Sudan, the same that endless war in the Congo.
Yeah.
All fueled by outside forces. But it's time now we cut off that.
No, and that's the key. So anytime we can sit down with other organizations, no matter how much differences we've got, I said, let's find one. If we got 10 things to discuss, let's find the one thing we can agree with and do only that. Leave the other 9 aside till next week. Let's try to solve this one problem that we can do together. And let's work on that one. Then next time when we get that to show us some fruits, let's come and take one of those other things we have differences about and we work on that one. Because only at the local level when we unite, will we be able to unite internationally. But we're not going to be able to unite internationally. Those will just be conferences. It'll look good. People make big speeches. But if we can't unite at the local level and then take it to the national level, we're not going to be able to unite at the international level around the issues of Pan-African unity.
And that's why I'm glad that you have taken time to be here tonight with us in this space, because you are clarifying a lot of things for my listeners. Especially in that regard, because I hear people here in Jamaica sometimes when we're discussing the Haitian situation say that the reason why they're going through what they're going through is because voodoo, they embrace the voodoo and all that kind of garbage.
The only reason they won the revolution was because of voodoo. The revolution was lost when the Catholic leaders and the mulatto murdered Dessalines and murdered. They didn't just murder him, murdered his followers. And everything, when they abandoned voodoo, everything went downhill.
Yes.
And that's why, like, I'm at a shrine. My shrine is in Trinidad. And people don't know what a shrine is. It is a school where you're taught about your ancestors and you're taught about our wisdom system. Mine happened to be in Chaguanas Enterprise Village in Trinidad, but my shrine came from Caracou and the Grenada, and it came to Grenada after Dessalines' death from Haiti, because after Dessalines' death, the Catholic Church went after all the voodoo priests and leaders. So many of them left Haiti. Some went to New Orleans, some went to other islands in the Caribbean. A lot of them went to Trinidad. Some went to Grenada. I happened to have a shrine that left Haiti, went to Caracou, went from Caracou to Trinidad. And I was talking to my sister at the shrine today. So I said that because voodoo is our medicine.
Yes, it is.
Voodoo is our sacred science.
Sacred science. That's the word right there.
Sacred science.
That's it.
Even when we say Obia, you mean voodoo. Don't let nobody fool you. Obia and voodoo is the same thing.
Same thing.
The same thing, just different languages. Okay. When in South Carolina, we call it root. Root and Obia and voodoo is the same thing. After the British
and it
war,
goes as far back as what they call necromancy.
Mm-hmm. From the very beginning, all it is our way of life, how we saw nature, how we saw the cosmology, how we saw ourselves in it. That's how we know the medicine. The plant told you what medicine was good for you. You weren't smart enough to know what medicine was good, but you were in such close proximity to that plant spiritually, the plant let you know, I can heal this for you. Use me. You understand? And so we don't understand what we've lost. We've lost our proximity to the rest of nature. We've lost our proximity to the stars. And this will be one, and then I'll come back to you. I was looking at an article online about 3 weeks ago, and a white man wrote a book about the Khoisan people in Southern Africa. And he said he was perplexed because they said they felt sorry for him. And some of them was even crying for him. And you want to know why they were crying for him? And they told him, because you can't hear the stars sing. And just think of that. They were genuine. They said, we've met a human being that can't hear the stars sing.
Wow.
Understand? Our people could hear the stars sing. They could hear the vibration, the rhythm of the stars themselves. That's how the Dogon knew what was in the sky without a telescope.
Serious B, serious, yes, yes.
And so he wrote this book when he finally understood what they were saying, that the white people are devoid of that connection to cosmology and ecology.
Lack of melanin, lack of melanin.
So all these things are important to understand and study and to teach to our children. If all of us just spend an hour, if we don't want to do an hour every day, an hour every other day, watching somebody's video or having a book or just having a discussion in our household, we will save our children from the demon rats.
Yes, my brother.
Their propaganda.
That's one of the questions, if I may, Priest Rasavana, that's one of the questions that I wanted Baba to answer or to share. For those who are listening and even on the panel who seek to start really teaching our children, knowledge of self, or wanting to structure a rites of passage, what would you say would be the first 5, I would say, or 7, because we love the number 7. There's the first few steps in doing that. For it was changing of my name. That was the first step in the rites of passage, changing my name from a European name to one that was African, renaming myself. And I personally have done that. I'm an art teacher, and I've done that with some of my students, having them research their birth names and then choosing names that fit their personality or what they aspire to be. So for you, what would you say would be the first steps for those who are wanting to work with our children to start helping them gain knowledge of self? What would be the first steps that you would instruct us to do?
The first has to be something that's in the Christian Bible.
Mm-hmm.
That's teaching the children how to honor their mothers and their fathers. What that really means.
Wow.
And then
Simple answer. Simple answer.
Really the kind of, because I catch my children, I go like, why are your children saying yes to you? And not yes, sir, yes, ma'am. That thing gives them a mental sense of the space that must be between an adult and a child. But if a child can tell you, yeah, no, yes, there's something wrong with that. There have to be a delineation there. Just that. But that honoring the adult, honoring the elders, and then naming, changing is good. That's a more difficult one. But that would be a process that you would work even if you just add a name to the names that they have. Because even the names, most of the names of Europe end up coming out of Africa to start with. You know, the Irish, British people, we were there when those fool Germans got there and beat us up and run us out. You know, and the Irish run around now trying to play like they're white people. But just 2 centuries ago, they were the niggers, you know. And to the white Germans in England, they still are that, you know, which is why they had all the wars and the fighting going on. But the name is a good step, but it takes a time to get to that. So I would start with the respect for elders, the respect for parents, and then the respect for ancestors through a respect for history. Those should be the first 2 steps. And then you see what is best for your community, where you at from there going forward. But those 2, the respect for the elders, the respect for ancestors and history, and then, because if you get them there, because you'd be surprised how much the religions of the West have us frightened to change. People think if I don't say, even if they don't go to church, they're scared to death of denying that process.
That's true.
Because they don't think they have another process. But don't try to give them an African sacred science in religious form, because that's an error. We don't have no religion in Africa because we didn't need one. We have the universe. It is our knowledge of the universe, the knowledge of cosmology and ecology, and how we use them. You know, like if I'm, you know, Oya from the Yoruba tradition, and Shango from the Yoruba tradition, and what's my friend named Ogun from the tradition. But Shango means courage, the courage to change, the courage to realize the need for change. But Shango have to then marry Oya. It's a metaphor. It's a story we make up to explain concepts, ideas, and principles. So Shango, the courage to change, marry Oya. Oya is the wind that means change, right? Oya then marries Ogun. Ogun is transformation as a result of change. So see, our ancestors understood it. We were talking about qualities and attributes of our character, but we created these metaphoric being to exemplify and to act as teaching tools, sort of like cosmic hieroglyph, you know.
I saw a play at the Performing Arts School here in Jamaica on that whole scene that you just described. Yeah, it was
it's a beautiful story. And let me show you how the white man understood this. You've all got a picture of the Last Supper. Don't tell me the truth. You all got a picture of the Last Supper in your house, right? So take it down when I get through talking. Now, on the Last Supper, what do you see? You see 13 people, right? Right? Remember that 13. 13 is supposed to be the bad number. 13 is the tribe, 13 tribes of Judah and so forth. People play with things. But if you don't know history, they can make it a mystery.
Yes.
You got Da Vinci doing a painting, and at the time he's painting, 90% of the Europeans can't read or write. They're illiterate. So you can't teach them with a book, even though they came up with this new book on the Bible. You can't teach them from that because that was just for the elite to take the stolen wisdom that the Knights Templar and others had found and center it to themselves. They didn't want their masses to have that body of knowledge. So their hieroglyphs we call paintings and art pieces today, but those were European hieroglyphs. So in the 12 and the Last Supper, it's a solar drama. It's an astrological drama. You got the 12 planets, right? And you got the 12 months of the year. That's the 12 disciples, right? And if you look at the picture, they're divided in 4 groups of 3s, right? You see the groups of 3 talking to each other only. That's the 4 seasons. And Jesus is in the middle with a big light around his head. That was the sun. And the rest of these things are evolving around the sun. It's a solar drama. They were explaining that to their people. They were trying to teach them our wisdom. Most of them don't understand it. They think it's just a picture of some man eating some bread before he killed. Yeah. That's what it is at all.
Empress Cindy? Unmute your mic, Empress Cindy. She had a question.
When she's ready. Although we are wrapping up, we're counting down the minutes now. Yeah, but you have touched on a lot of stuff here tonight, Baba, which we are really thankful for. You know, one of the main topics I wanted to get you in the virtual space, and you have done it justice, is the whole concept about religion.
Oh, so because you got the picture right there. Look at the picture. And you see it. Look at them now. You see each group of 3 talking to each other?
Right.
That's the 4 seasons and the 12 months and the 12 signs of the zodiac evolving around the sun.
Right.
And the sun is the mind of man. It is your mind that is the light of the world. You got the right thing going on up in there. So you could be in darkness, you know. But if you got the right body of wisdom, then you become the light of the world, the Marcus Garvey, the Malcolm X, the Kwame Nkrumah.
I say.
And the James Small.
And the James.
Well, I'm a long way from that, but I'm at least understanding it. You know, I'm understanding it.
Well, the enlightened one never usually says that they are, you know, but we who are listening, we know who you are. So we give thanks.
We see the light in you, my Lord, and give thanks for sharing your light.
Yes.
I'm just trying to be love. A young man coming from Ghana today and said, "Oh, we come to Ghana, we'll find you a nice young lady in Cape Coast." But I said, "Oh, my nice young lady is sitting downstairs. I've been with her for 53 years. You know."
Yes.
She was born in Aruba, but her mother was born in Trinidad, and her daddy was born in St. Martin. And they went to Aruba to work. She came over here when she was about 8 years old. And I met her when she was 18 years old and married her when she was 19 years old. So now we done got old together. Our knees are hurting together.
I'm from Trinidad, you know.
The last of the Mohegans, man. The last of the Mohegans, Baba. You and Dr.
But remember, the key thing is food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security. Key, right? We must get control of the economic, politics, and culture in the community we live in. We must get control of land, labor, and resources where we live and get the only land we're standing on. And we got to protect those who controlling the land they're standing on. And when we go there, food, clothing, shelter, safety, land, labor, resources, control economic, politics, and culture, then we move into
we'll rise up.
We're moving towards Pan-Africanism in the right way. And in the midst of that, you got to understand socialization, how we get our values, interests, and principles. And that's where our spiritual sacred science comes in. We must learn
Empress Cindy
and live them. I let people know, I'm the voodoo man. I'm the obeah man. So,
Empress Cindy, you can ask your question as we are wrapping up.
Yeah, well, I won't be too long-winded. I just wanted to say give thanks, Professor Small, for all of your wisdom and insight tonight. I really love this discussion. And I just wanted to add to what you were saying in terms of respect for your parents. I just recently came from a festival in Atlanta, and we were honoring the Orisha Aje. And she's the Orisha for wealth and prosperity. And the MC was going around asking folks, what does what does that mean? Like, what is the embodiment of Aj? Like, you know, we're there for that. We're giving offerings and singing and dancing for her, and you know, as we should be. But what does that mean? You can't expect for an ancestor or an Orisha to work for you if you're not trying to do good for others and do good for yourself. And that was one of the things that she spoke about. But then there was a Babalao there, a Nigerian young man that is a Babalao, and he was speaking about the importance of honoring your mother and your father. And even if, you know, a person finds their parents not to be the best parents in the world, you still have to honor and respect your parents no matter what, because that's the foundation of, you know, of all life, you know. So I just want to say give thanks for everything, and I really appreciate you coming on tonight to speak to us and answer our questions. Blessed love.
Thank you, Empress. And let me just say something on that. The key, when they put those Orishas together, when they put in Haiti, they call it the Loas. In Egypt, they call it the Netaruz. In Ghana, they call it the Abosun. But guess what? In Christians, they call it the 12 disciples. In Islam, they call it the 99 names of Allah. They understand us. So you think they ain't working their voodoo on us?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
They understand.
Right.
They tell us to hide from the knowledge. And they're taking what they know of our knowledge and working it against us. And we sitting back trying to figure, scratching our head like, what did just happen?
But Baba, even the Jewish people work their voodoo on us too, through the Kabbalah and all these means.
Said that. Yeah.
They do it too.
That's it.
When they do Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they cleanse themselves with a chicken and they throw it by the roadside just like we do at the crossroads.
Right.
So people have taken our system and used it for themselves.
Yes,
Baba. Then make us run away from it.
Yes.
So we use it for ourselves. You know, love, they told us love is sex. Sex is something people who love each other should do. But love is not sex. It don't even come close.
That's right.
It feels. It is not love. Love is when you know God in you.
Yes.
That you can recognize God in somebody else.
Yes, Baba. Well said. Well said, Baba. Ashe. Ashe. Well said.
So love loves love.
That's right.
So when they say God is love, when you realize the God in you, then you can see God in others. If you don't know how to see God in you, you will not be able to see God in nowhere else.
Come on.
You're pretending. Or we friends. Or we buddies. And one thing go wrong and you split each other through. There's no love there. But if you understand
so
that,
give us your last word, Baba. Give us your last word. What's the message you want to leave with us tonight, with the listenership? What is the main thing that you want to say to your people tonight?
And our freedom is essential and nothing can stop us. Know thyself, love thyself, know the essence and the spirit of God in yourself. Each of us is an aspect of the divine essence having the human experience. Each of us. And that's what the ancestors was trying to tell us all along, is that if God is like the sun, they use the sun as the symbol of God. And the sun gives off billions of tiny little lights we call particles or beams. But if all the particles and beams died, God died. Think of it. So we are the light that makes up the divine. And when we understand that and act our role, we become the divine. Because nothing comes down here and does anything. We do what God wants done.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the part. Yes, family, you have heard it here, on Roots and Culture, on Turn It Up Radio, turnitup.com. Yeah, the great Baba, James Small, the wealth of knowledge, the oracle, the sage of our time. We give thanks to be able to honor you while you're here with us in our presence, to tell you how much we love you, my brother, how much we appreciate love you. Yeah, and you are more than they say when we lose an elder, we lose a treasure trove. You are that and more to us. So take care of your good self, my brother. Yeah,
And
man. And
it's
you,
about love. I love
Give
you.
thanks.
There's two words. We're now using Ubuntu a lot. The word that I love more, because I used it earlier, is Lukomi. Lukomi Veso, the Africans who are in Cuba, and the way they celebrate their religion, they call it Lukomi.
Look at me.
But the word comes out of the Yoruba language. And Yorubas weren't just confined, and still are not just confined to Nigeria. Yorubas all over West Africa. It's one of the largest ethnic groups in Africa, right? And so when they saw them, because they had their hieroglyph on their face, so and the scarification. So that's how they know who each other was, no matter where they came from, 1,000 miles apart. And when they would see each other on the slave ships and in shackles, they would recognize each other and they would say, "You belong to me and I belong to you." And the word for that is Lukomi. You belongs to me and I belong to you.
So you've been to the village in South Carolina, I'm sure.
When Nana and them Baba and them before they built that village, they had lost their office in New York. And I would house them in my mosque. I was the imam over the Muslim Mosque Inc. at the time. And so Baba Serjman was one of my first teachers. Mama KK, Chief of Jamu.
Yes.
So they had no place to meet. And because I did that, there was an assassination attempt on my life.
Wow.
Because I housed the Yoruba community in my mosque on Sundays.
Brother Olomide and the family. Yes,
Yeah. And then I went to the village afterwards, the last time I was there, and I got to know the young king who was killed by his own sibling.
Yes, I know him too. Yeah.
But his father and I, we were big brothers. We traveled all around Africa together through the years, and they were Malcolm's friend. That's how they became my friend. When Malcolm got killed, they came and supported me when I became, at 21 years old, the imam. Him and Nana Apari Deni Sulu from the Yakan community gave me their supports.
Yes, I know the king's sister as well. She lives in Florida.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we give thanks, Baba, for your time and your wealth of knowledge. And like I say, just
being with you. And so Jamaica had forgotten me, but you brought me back home, so I'm happy now.
A presence like yours can never be forgotten. A presence like yours can never be forgotten, Baba.
After the War of 1812, many of my cousins left South Carolina with the British and came to Jamaica to live. So I know I got plenty family down in Jamaica.
Shit.
I would love to sit at your feet again. I pray that we get this opportunity again,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Love.
Stay strong and keep teaching. And anything I can do to help you or help you get others to come to the podcast, let me know. And I'll be available to do that.
Dr. Barnett's hand is up.
Mikey?
Yeah, very quickly, Baba Small, as before you leave, I just wondering if you're gonna go to Panafest this year.
I'm leaving on the 25th. I should have planned to come in on the 18th, but I planned late, so I will be there. I will be speaking at Panafest. I missed the meeting yesterday. Every Wednesday there's a board meeting. Yeah. And so I missed the Wednesday meeting, but I'll catch the meeting next week with Sister Essie and Baba Cohen and the rest of them. But I'll definitely. I'm actually taking a group of about 98 people.
That's great, because I don't know, the last time I saw you was at Panafest 2 years ago.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I always make myself present.
We need support. It needs support, and hopefully it gets a stronger support this
so
time.
I got my walking cane because my knees aching, but I'm still gonna be
there. Give much thanks, Baba Small.
Yes, man. Peace and prosperity, long life, good health, blessings.
Blessings and give thanks.
Give thanks, peace and love, Baba. Thank you so much.
All right.
Blessings. Yes, family. This is Roots and Culture. I am your host, Rasavana Shanti, and the Royal Cast. Yeah, you just heard our Baba James Small, the resident griot in the Western, pardon me, Western Hemisphere. Yeah, the man who is carrying on the legacy of those great Pan-African heroes. You know, man like Malcolm X, which you heard him speak about, Kwame Ture, you know, Walter Rodney, many great heroes on whose shoulder we stand. Steve Biko, Chris Annie, Patrice Lumumba. Yeah, and the list goes on and on. But we give thanks to our ancestors. We give thanks to Baba for his wealth of knowledge and for always willing to share, to take time out, no matter what, to share with us the knowledge that we need to empower ourselves. Yeah, we give thanks. Rastafari.
Rastafari.
Yes, that was a beautiful moment in time, you know?
Yes, and we give thanks to our listening audience. We
Yes,
were live streaming on the
musically
EABIC
speaking.
Council of Elders.
Yes, hopefully the Council of Elders, the rest of the team would have been listening and would have gotten their meal as well, just like how we were, you know, fed and our stomachs are filled with knowledge. Yeah, our minds are filled with knowledge. Yeah, hopefully our in this moment.
Rastafari.
Love and blessings, Baba. Yeah, man. We always have to honor and treasure people like Baba. See, we only have few of those generation left. Baba Julius Garvey is one of them as well. Close brethren of Brother James Small. They're all in the same circle. Those names you hear us calling tonight. You know, Renoko, Brother Renoko, Dr. Renoko Rashidi, you know, Del Jones, Sister Q, you know, Queen Mother Moore, Queen Mother Jordan. These are all monuments within the Pan-African struggle who have left their footprint in the sands of time for the generations to come. Yeah, they can see those signs and know that, yes, their ancestors were here and they did great things. Yes, I. Check it. It's a good day in Rastafari.
Yes, and we'd like to say thank you to all who was in our virtual spaces again. Thank you for listening to Roots and Culture on Turn It Up Radio, turnitup.com. Tell a friend to tell a friend every Thursday, 6 to 10 p.m. and on Saturdays, 7 to 10 p.m. Jamaican time. Of course, you know, in the United States, we are an hour ahead, so we will be here from 7 to 11. Yes, so we give thanks to the listening audience, give thanks to all. You can find this live stream on the EABIC Council of Elders YouTube channel and to any member on the platform. So we do give thanks to the royal cast, give thanks to Honorable Priest Rasavana Ashanti, our host, for allowing I and I, the empresses of the Woman Freedom Liberation League, to be here. Anything you have to say, Empress Hakim? Give thanks, blessed love.
I just want to give thanks. I just want to give thanks for the works. Priest Rasavana, you're an amazing man. You know, and I just give thanks for the platform and the knowledge that you bring, you know, and the knowledge that you pull from others, you know, to share amongst us. So I just give thanks. I just give thanks. I give thanks, Empress Trisha, for your work as well. You know, blessed love.
Empress Diane.
Blessed love. Yes, I would just like to reiterate what Empress Hakim said, you know. Give thanks for the wealth of knowledge that always passing every week through you, Priest Rasavana, you know, pulling such magnanimous people that was left out in our history books, you know. So I do give thanks for that wealth of knowledge that is coming to us every week. on Turn It Up Radio FM and on the Council of Elders.
Thank you.
I do give
blessed love.
blessed love.
Honorable Empress Cindy. Honorable Empress.
Maybe she not by her phone at the time.
Yes. And we turn it over to you, Honorable Priest. We give thanks again for the wealth of information given to I by Baba James Small and Professor Barnett for coming in. We thank you. Thank you to the royal cast for all that you do and you continue to do. Give thanks, Honorable Priest, for allowing I, the Empresses, to come on and so that we can be, in tune with all this positive energy and positive light that is flowing throughout the universe right now. Rastafari bless.
Give thanks. Yeah, give thanks, Royal Empresses. Like I say, tonight has been a special night. I have been surrounded by the black roses, the African roses. We have been surrounded by the African roses, bringing out the best in us as usual. And we were blessed with, an oracle in our presence tonight, as you can very well hear. I pride myself on being a student of knowledge, but when I'm in the presence of someone like Dr. Small,
humble.
Yes, it truly humbles you.
Humbles, truly. Yes, truly
yes.
does.
It was a great experience. I do give thanks.
Rastafari. Seems like the priest is having a little difficulty, but we do give thanks again to the royal listening audience. So give thanks and see you next Thursday, 6 p.m. You tune out for a moment there. So see you next Thursday, 6 p.m. Jamaica time, 7 p.m. US Caribbean time.
And we should give thanks again to Priest Lamont. He's still present as well.
Oh, that's Prophet Okito. He is having difficulty. Yes, he's having difficulties on his side. So he does send his love to the family, and he gives thanks for all the information that was shared tonight. So give thanks from Prophet Okito. Priest Savannah, your mic is muted.
Yeah, give thanks, man. Give thanks, everyone. Man, glorify,
Glorify.
Beautiful moment amongst them. I feel like a torn between roses, but it's all good.
Oh no. How about you might be the vine, priest?
And at this point, I'll stop the live stream.
Yeah, man, the item is powerful, man. A lot of good works. Looking forward to completing a lot of good works with the item, as we try to save the next generation. Bringing information, knowledge, love, and all the good things to them.
Yes, I feel sharpened to this evening. I feel sharpened, so I give thanks as well. All right. Blessed.